weren't here.
I'm going to check it out. You got to let me know when it is.
We're back on the sports show. Sure. And I just told him.
Batman?
That's what I always go. I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
Yeah.
Tell me who he really is. That's Marquette.
No, Batman. The king. The king. Yeah. And I just told you, Mark is the Woody Paige. And I said, you're going to become a big fan of him. He has been telling me for months.
Oh, I have. This is truth. This is truth.
He has been telling me for the last 3 months. He said, I'm going to tell you who's going to win the AFC West next year.
2016.
And I said, what do you mean, 2016? We're in the middle of 2015. He said, the Oakland Raiders are going to win the AFC West next year and be a factor toward the Super Bowl. He's the punter since 2012.
Yep.
I think he's the best punter, best stylistic punter that I've seen since Reggie Roby. They share one thing in common. They are African Americans, and there are not many African American golfers, and there are not many African American punters, and that's why I love you. But you got to know, he has been on your side and on the team side.
That's cool.
And I have greatest respect in the world for Jack Del Rio. So you guys right there, pull that. We're going to make you a great announcer. Just pull it a little closer to your mouth.
Yeah.
Is he right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what?
Are you building something? That's what I want to know.
We're in the process of building something. Like I said before, we had several different players to make it to Pro Bowl, and basically making a statement that the old Raiders are back. And man, we still got a ways to go, but we're gonna get there.
And is it important to you that the Raiders are back? I mean, because you know that you're a national franchise, man, and there's a lot of people all over the country that your team is important to them.
You just said something, though, but about I'm going to make a second part of that.
Yeah.
As a national franchise, how about going to Las Vegas?
I just know they have a lot of pool parties.
Like that's a bad thing?
Not at all.
I just thought about that. You going to turn those guys loose, raining money in Las Vegas on Tuesdays off day? I don't know that Del Rio would be afraid of it. But it is. I mean, the Raiders, and there's a helmet over there, the two Raiders helmets, that the country misses the Raiders. You grew up, everybody either loved or dreaded, but everybody had a strong feeling in love, or at least not love or hate relationship with the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, it's different, man. I knew when I'm from Georgia, so all I knew was Atlanta Falcons, Michael Vick. So coming out here, 2012 was when I kind of first really knew about the Raiders that much. And it's like a family, man. The fans treat you like family. It's amazing.
Well, you talked about it. They have a player who made all-pro teams at two positions. One player.
Yeah.
I don't know what you have a quarterback that really matured this year from last year when he was nervous, made a lot of mistakes. You have a wide receiver that's going to be in the top 5, 6 for a bunch of years. Dan Williams came in as a free agent. I told him I wanted the Broncos to sign him when he became a free agent. And I loved him coming out of Tennessee. Going to have to replace Charles Woodson, but that team has the basis now, the foundation, and the salary cap room to actually do something next year.
Yeah, the Raiders have done a huge, tremendous job, man, especially when I first came in 2012. Just some people's demeanor and stuff, like, it's definitely changed to now because people are really, like, competing. They're trying to get their job done. They want to be the best at their job, and Del Rio's trying to put the best 11 out there every time.
Okay, this is what I want to ask you, is a lot of 6, 7, 8-year-old kids grow up dreaming of being Batman. I'm not sure that 6, 7, 8-year-old kids dream of being a punter. How did you become a punter, and what age did you become a punter?
Well, I became a punter, I'll say, how old are you, around 10th grade?
12, 13, 15. Yeah.
15?
Yeah.
So, man, I started punting. I played receiver. I started at receiver. I ain't got the biceps.
I was like, you have got the best guns of any punter in the history of mankind.
We got to change the game a little bit.
There you go.
So, I mean, I did that, and I would continually go out and run routes. And sometimes people wouldn't come out there and work out with me every time because I didn't like watching TV, so I would go outside all the time as much as possible and run. And I just got bored and started punting.
Yeah.
Listen to my music, kick a ball down, walk down, get it, kick it back. Just the whole time.
Yeah.
At what point, though, did you realize that you might be special?
He had to walk farther to kick it.
When I had to walk farther, and also with this Cole's kicking camp, I went out there, and it's several different guys from Auburn, Clemson, Tennessee. They're like, they pull up the film, and they're like, what do you want to work on? I want to work on my hands, my steps. They get to me. What do you want to work on, Marquette? I don't know. What am I supposed to work on? And then after that, they're like, let's go outside and talk. Like, this punting deal can really get serious. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, because I got to see it to believe it, So all I did was just continue working hard, though.
Well, and it's paid off for you, literally and figuratively, that not only with the college scholarship and with the Raiders, and you could become the second greatest punter in Raiders history.
Hey, I'm trying to catch up, man. I'm trying to catch up. Ray Guy came out there before a game dressed up looking like a swagged out Colonel Sanders and with his suit on. Yeah. And he was just giving me a lot of words of wisdom and advice, man. So that was cool.
That's the godfather of punting right there.
That's what I said. He was the best of all time. He didn't worry about coffin corners. He didn't worry about getting it inside the 20. He just would punt it 60 yards. And having become friends with him over the years, because I'm from the South, you're from the South, he's from Mississippi.
Georgia boys.
And what was interesting about him is he was a punter, but he also in college was a defensive back, played quarterback. That's what he wanted to do. So now he was like third string quarterback for the Raiders, and I know this before you were even born at some point. But he wanted to be a complete football player. Do you ever find yourself asking the coaches or saying, "Can I fill in some different roles?" Or do they say, go over there where you belong with the place kicker?
Well, in the offseason, I go out with Derek Carr and Rod Streeter. And a lot of other receivers from other teams out there running routes, I get out there and run the routes. I'll be like, man, I'll just be the break. I'll be y'all's extra breath y'all can get. Let me just run a fly route after y'all. And whatever route they run, I'll watch. I'll try to do it. It's also good conditioning, too. So,
how do you see this game because of the Broncos? And you beat the Broncos. Because of the Broncos being in your division, do you feel for them? You are a Southern-bred gentleman. Carolina down there, are you mixed feelings, or are you looking at it objectively and saying, here's what's going to happen?
Well, it's mixed. I'm kind of jealous because we're not in the Super Bowl right now. But, I mean,
well, you got to win more than 8 games.
You're right. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Now you're going.
There you go.
Here we go.
Yeah. But just playing the Broncos last year, beating them, it just shows us that, hey, we can get to this point. We just got to keep working hard. And, I got to go for the conference. I mean, maybe Denver, but I'm a Cam Newton fan. I like watching Cam. And I like watching him do the dab,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's mixed emotions.
He's not going to give us an answer, is he? He's not going to. Who's going to win then? What's the score? Who's going to win?
You know what?
If you're going to be on Around the Horn, you're going to replace me on Around the Horn someday, you got to be able to give us a strong opinion here.
All right. Well, Wood, I feel like the Panthers might get this.
He's got some work to do before he replaces Ray Guy or Woody Paige.
Here we go.
I assume you're having fun though. Here, is this your first Super Bowl?
Actually, it is. Yeah. It is. Previously. They have Super Bowls. They're like, Marquette, come out there. No, I'm not playing in it. Why should I go?
Yeah.
But me not being stubborn this time. And plus it's in my backyard, so.
You got to be enjoying it then.
I love it, man. Getting to see y'all, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott,
It's cool.
we love you coming over.
Hey, man, come here.
Yeah. And so next year,
Getting all hugged up.
next year when you come to Denver, I'm gonna come out on the field and we're gonna hug. And
Hey, let's have a
hands.
punting lesson deal.
That would be good
That'd be off
stuff.
the chain.
It
Well,
would.
Here, can you? Oh, it's a little bit underflated.
Oh,
Well, give it.
Could you?
Tom
you
Brady
think
could
you could
throw
hit that
it.
sign over there?
oh, of course. Punting it, not throwing it.
That's what I'm asking. Can you punt? Can you punt in your shoe? What shoe?
No.
I got Chucks on. But you know what? Any shoe, I can wear boots. I'll still launch it. It might not go as far.
Could
But
you hit the ceiling?
if I hit the ceiling, they'll probably sue me.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
well,
knocking
we could
stuff
take that
down.
out.
I know.
Hey, thank you for coming by.
Hey,
It was
thank
fun
y'all.
talking to you. It was great to meet you.
Good to
And
meet y'all, too.
We're going to stay in touch with you next year, and you're going to come over here and say, Mark, you were right. We're winning that division.
Hey, you're right. We got to have a debate, too.
Let me talk to you about another player of sorts in the past, Elway, and John Elway Steakhouse. And thanks again. John Elway Steakhouse in Cherry Creek. Best steak in town, best side dishes in town, best steak and lobster. See you, kid. No, it's yours. Yeah, you don't make it up. You don't make as much money as I do. You take that.
Oh,
Bad man.
Here we go again.
I'm Superman.
To your commercial, man. Don't get in fights.
If he comes up behind me, let me know.
You're on your own.
Elway Steakhouse in Cherry Creek, the premier steakhouse. Go and have a great time. Enjoy yourself. Hey, maybe for Super Bowl weekend. Elway's Steakhouse. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic is Colorado's #1 men's clinic. If you have a sexual problem, let's be straight about it. Why don't you do something about it? And that means going to see the fine people, the great people, medically trained professionals who will deal with you individually. We have talked about that they will work with you and find a program, and they will find the medical advice that you need to get yourself back into business. And with the testing, you'll find out if your sexual problems are the result of other health problems. Most important thing in your life should be your family and your health, and this will help you get back to having the right health, the good health that's important to you. RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
It's a sports show with Woody Paige, friend of Pizza Kings, Raiders, punters, the world in general. And I like it because they all say, Woody, I love you. And Woody has to say, and that's Kiz over there. But
No, but I helped you out. I said, you're going to love him in a minute.
You did.
and he
You did.
By the time you left here.
Okay. We've had a fun start to the show, but now we're going to get to the big stuff. And first thing is, somebody stop that man Cam. And how do you do that? Peyton Swan song? Is this it? And does Josh Norman tell all when he covers a man to man? Let's start here. Did Bill Romanowski tell you that he would give Cam Newton the business, knock him down? Was that a conversation you had with him or somebody else?
Well, he's been telling that, though. He said the way to stop Cam Newton is to hit him as hard as you can. Well,
I agree with that.
That goes with what Antonio Smith would like to do. You wrote about Antonio Smith. That's what, like, Malik Jackson. We're talking about two guys that would like to hit him hard. But then he said, once you get him down in the pow, choke him.
What?
And hope that his breath doesn't come back for a while, and that would. And then Rodney Harrison from the New England Patriots said, you got to hurt him in a game.
Okay.
So Is that going overboard? I mean, Romanowski's kind of doing it sarcastically, kidding, but he got into a lot of fights, and he did hurt a lot of guys when he was playing, including those on his own team.
Okay, Cam is 6'6" and somewhere between 245 and 260, and he's built like the Rock of Gibraltar. But I do think it made a difference. I know it made a difference to Tom Brady early. Forget the fact that the Broncos hit him 20-plus times. Just it changed Tom Brady's game from the start. The Broncos got into him and drove him into the ground. Cam Newton is going to pop up quicker because he's bigger, he's younger, he's tougher than Tom Brady is physically. But I do think, with no sarcasm, that Romo is on to something here. Hit him hard early, and at least let him know that you might be 6'6", 260. You might be a great big tree, but we can chop you down.
Is it possible that, and I talked to someone earlier today, Eugene Robinson.
Yep.
Who is their color analyst, but played in 3 Super Bowls, and those who we talk about. And I said, well, here's a matchup. Von Miller against Rimmers. And he said, oh, that's not going to be the problem. They're going to put a tight end and a running back on that side, and they're going to make sure Von Miller doesn't hurt or get to. I said, well, then that leaves the other guy. And
Marcus.
He says, yeah, you're right. I said, so if you're going to concentrate, then you're going to have Shaquille Barrett, Shane Ray, DeMarcus Ware. Those guys are going to roam kind of free. And he said, well, that's the left tackle's job. Well, you know that. I mean, do you think they're going to inhibit their own offense in order to take care of Von Miller?
If they do that, then that's a victory for the Broncos. If they react to Von Miller and change their offense to mitigate the damage Von Miller can do, then that's the Panthers saying we have to change our offense, our style play, because Von Miller's too good. I talked to Von today. I talked to Wade Phillips today. And Von talked time and again about taking the cheese or letting the cheese be. And what he was talking about is Cam runs the read option. And is the cheese here? Do you take that bait, or is he going to pull it out? And he said, I have to make the right decision there. You know what that told me is that Wade's first preference is going to have those 2 outside linebackers that you talked about, DeMarcus and Vaughn, attack Cam. And they'll maybe then rotate a linebacker out around to play the pitch.
Okay,
rather
that's where I was going with you, because
I don't think there's going to be a spy. I don't think there's going to be a spy. I'm not saying there won't ever be a spy, but I don't think that's going to be the main way the Broncos play Cam.
Because you know I like visual aids,
yes,
and so it helps me.
So if one Cam is what's DeMarcus?
Okay, you're Cam.
Yeah.
And so Von Miller's coming this way, but here's where I see a problem for the Broncos.
Okay.
Is we saw it with Tebow, that Wolf and Malik are coming in here.
Right.
So they're going to be taken out of the play if it's outside.
Right. That's true.
Because you're supposed to confuse the defensive end on the offside. That's the guy you're supposed to be worried about. Well, you've got the inside rush coming. So he goes outside. You've got those guys attacking, and you're now telling me that then it's up to a Trevathan or Brandon Marshall to get the running back if Cam were to pitch it.
This is my idea, is that DeMarcus and Vaughn are your 2 front 7 biggest weapons. So send those guys after Cam on either side, and then let your linebackers worry about the pitch man.
Okay, that makes sense to me, because I was trying to think about
it's the Bill Belichick idea. Take away the most feared weapon.
Which would be Cam.
Yeah, attack that first.
That's what I was trying to think is if you flipped we're just talking. If you flipped Malik on that side, that he would spin move outside and Vaughn would come in, that you
could have a
Vaughn,
stunt that way. I guess that could work.
But that's going to be an interesting aspect of the game. So you've got another dimension which you don't have with Tom Brady, because he was their leading rusher in the game, I think, but they had no running game. Well, they do have. The Panthers have a much better running game than what we saw with the Patriots.
The Patriots had no running game, and the Panthers' running game is very solid.
Yeah.
Is extremely good once you put.
That's my idol.
Yeah. Rich Eisen's your idol?
Rich Eisen. Yeah.
No.
So anyway, maybe he'll sit down and join us, but he's got his sneakers on. He's running hard.
Yeah.
But the point I was trying to make is that there's so many dimensions to this team that the Broncos really haven't experienced against the Patriots or even during the course of the year. We'll take a break. We'll talk to you about Papa John's 18 special. Broncos 18. You can actually go online and put in Broncos 18, and you get 2 pizzas, 3 toppings on each one, and then you pay only $18. What a great deal. Go to the new papajohns.com.
For our Players' Choice pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one, I can work out like one, I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Better football.
At the new papajohns.com.
This is the Sports Show with Woody Paige and Mark Kiszla, as presented by the Denver Post, and this is a real distinct pleasure for me. Rich Eisen's here. He is on TV every day, simulcasting. He is the face of the NFL Network, and we share one common bond.
And that is what?
I am the lowest fruit on the tree at ESPN. You were the highest fruit.
Oh, no. Well, and that fruit tree, I was plucked from it 13 years ago, Woody.
Yeah.
13 years ago.
Everybody, I saw Colin Cowherd the other day, and I said, congratulations on your new job. And he said, we all kind of escaped Bristol at one point. But
oh, my God, he's saying that? My gosh. I mean, but Bristol took me from, Redding, California, and gave me an opportunity. Same way it took him from Portland.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I will never denigrate the platform that ESPN gave me and the people there. I still am great friends with a lot of people there. And I loved my 7 years on SportsCenter. The way I left wasn't the way I would have drawn it up, but what I've been able to do since then has been a blessing. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have the 7 years on SportsCenter.
What is it? Let's switch to the NFL Network.
Sure.
The new package that now involves NBC.
Yes.
And CBS.
Yes.
And the NFL Network
almost darn near $500 million, Woody.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, your response to all that, what do you think that's going to do in taking the NFL Network to the next level?
I don't know, man. I mean, the idea behind it is to expose the network through now multiple broadcast networks. And, part of that is I think Al and Chris are going to be doing the games for when NBC has them. And I'm excited about that. I think, Al and Chris and Fred Godelli, Drew Esikoff, that staff they're so excellent at what they do. And now that the NFL Network brand might be, it will go through that prism. I mean, that's awesome. I'm fired up about that, and we'll see what happens. I mean, because the CBS and NBC will get the ability to put the games on their networks and simulcast on NFL Network, and then the last 8 games will be exclusively on NFL Network, and hopefully that means more eyeballs when that happens.
In this game, the narrative, Cam Newton and everything surrounding him, Peyton Manning, last game and comebacks and all of that. What are you finding that people are missing about this game?
Oh, gosh.
As it approaches?
I think, oh, my gosh, I don't know. I think, is that possible that there's anything to be missing with us tap dancing for 6 straight days as we've been doing? Well, now I guess now 13 days when we included last week too. I mean, I don't know. We're hitting on everything here, but
let me give you one. I've talked to him about.
There you go.
Does Gary Kubiak emerge from the shadow of John Elway? He spent his whole career as a player and most of his career as a coach in the shadow of John Elway, who's still a bigger story here than most all of the players. Or on the other side, I mean, does this make Cam Newton? Is he a made man as a result of this? If winning,
I think
he is the face of the of the NFL.
I think it all depends on what happens Sunday, right? I mean, if Kubiak pulls a rock in a really tough spot, but clock management or something, I'm not saying that he will.
Sure.
But these things are possible with coaches. Whereas, in the AFC Championship game, I think he challenged an incomplete pass that could have almost turned into a fumble.
Yes, that would have.
They could have given the ball back to New England if it had come back in the unpredictable replay wash in a certain way. That would have been a major boner on his part. Something like that can happen. I don't know. Cam can have a game similar to, like, say, Carson Palmer had in the championship game. And then we're talking about, well, Cam, he kind of pooped the bed right there. I mean, I don't think he will. But we need to see what happens on Sunday before we can figure anything out on that.
Okay, I want to ask you a Hall of Fame question real quick.
Sure.
The quick stump speech for Terrell Davis is what, and will it resonate this year, and will he get in?
I don't know about that. Yeah. But the quick stump speech for Terrell Davis is one of the best 4-year runs any running back will ever have. Not only has ever had, will ever have. Mm-hmm. That John Elway is talked about one of the all-time Mount Rushmore greats in a way that I think Peyton Manning would be if he wins this game, because he had 2 rings. Everybody I've ever been associated with that's been attached to that team says that those rings don't happen without Terrell Davis. Period. End of story. And you can't tell. That's the ultimate thing to me is you're a Hall of Famer if we can't tell the story of football without you.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And you have to tell the story of football by, if you're a Super Bowl MVP, we got to tell the story of football about you. Now, not every MVP of the Super Bowl is Hall of Fame worthy, but when you throw the numbers on top of it, I think TD's a Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I was on the committee for 15 years, and
what happens in that room, Woody? What in the hell happens in that room?
That's a good.
Now, we could talk about that during the offseason, but 2 or 3 things, and I'll summarize it for you because I know you got a busy day. But number one, the personalities in there are like in a bar or on the NFL Network. That
they're drunk. They're drunk. Is that what you're saying? Because you just described half of NFL Network.
That's right. At 8:30 in the morning.
That's right. Yeah.
But Paul Zimmerman, who you knew,
chest,
and he's been disabled for several years. He was an offensive line guy, and he fought for offensive linemen. Will McDonough from Boston announced in there, and I loved him, the late Will McDonough, would say, "I'll never put a punter in the Hall of Fame." Everybody had their own. You had 13 different personalities, and I would sit there and I'd say, when I'd get up to talk, I would say, "We know who a Hall of Famer is."
Yeah, you know.
And they would say, a guy from Miami would get up and talk about Dwight Stevenson. And people go, he only played for 16 years. And I said, yeah, he tore his knee up. But for 6 years, he was the greatest center, one of the 5 greatest centers of all time. Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, their careers, Terrell Davis had the same breadth and length.
No question.
And so I would get up and get passionate about it. And then somebody would stand up and they go, who's never been in the room, and they go, but here, let me give you the stats. He didn't play 16 years.
No.
And Randy Gradishar, when he retired after 10 years, and he can't get in there. He was the best middle linebacker with a Giants middle linebacker for forever. And I said to Randy, don't retire. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get into the Hall of Fame if you don't play 12, 13 years. And he said, well, I want to be healthy when I retire. He retired after 10 years. And I worked my ass off to get him in the Hall of Fame. Got him to the final day, and a guy got up and said, says, Ron Wolf says he's not a Hall of Famer. And sits back down. And I went, where's the proof of that? Or, you could say anything. So I'm telling you that there are mistakes. Here's what I would do. And I recommended it while I was there. I'd have former players on it. I would have former coaches. I wouldn't just give it to the media. I don't want to give it to the fans, but I would get more and more people involved, even if we were in that room. I will tell you the other problem. You meet on Saturday morning. There is a broadcast. You have to get through before the broadcast.
Yeah.
And so I found myself, the people going, oh, we got to do this. No, you do it until you get it right. So I'm sorry. That's
I hear you. No, and there's no change in that now.
So you should have a program.
Because now the broadcast wasn't just NFL Network now. Now it's part of the CBS honors. That thing's got to get done.
Yeah, so I'm just saying.
Post-credit.
Hey, enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you very much. I'm excited. I want to also mention that now I'm talking to a Denver audience. KKSN 950 AM Mile High Sports. I'm going to be on there starting the end of the month.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, every day, which I'm excited about. I mean, I love the Rocky Mountains. I love Denver. The fans there are so awesome. So I get to talk to a passionate fan base every day.
And I always appreciate when you invite me on. And
always, Woody.
I told him once when he first started the show, he has the greatest floor. He's the best wax floor. But you're having fun with it. You can tell. Like we do with Around Horn, you're having great fun with it.
Why not? I talk sports every day.
Hey,
good to see you, Woody.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Take care. See you later, Mark.
Let me tell you about Bud's Bar in Sedaya. Oh, he's just run thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Bud's Bar in Sedaya, one of our title sponsors. If you're looking for a you're always looking for a cheeseburger, hamburger. But no, if you're looking for a different experience, drive down Santa Fe, south on Santa Fe between C470, between County Line Road. You're out looking for a day. What I like to do is go out on a Saturday and just go down the road till you get to Sedaya, take a right there. It's a bar, but it is a bar with the greatest cheeseburgers in the world. And I say this over and over again. It's not me. When I found it years ago, I went, wow, these are the best in the world. But nationally, it is ranked. There's a book, Mark, that has the best cheeseburgers in every state. And the only cheeseburger that it lists in Colorado is Bud's Bar. Let me talk to you about Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. They have a great environment. You're probably nervous. You're probably uncomfortable. You don't want to go to a doctor's office. You could actually sit there and watch this show. You can watch ESPN. You can watch Rich Eisen. And you can have your test, be in a comfortable environment with medically trained personnel. They've just brought in a new doctor to help them get you back where you want to be, and that's having sexual excitement again, the intimacy with your loved one. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. Go online and investigate it yourself, and you'll find this is a place you want to go.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
Sports Show. That's Woody Paige. That's Cameron Wolf. I'm Mark Kiszla. Cameron. First Super Bowl experience, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What you thinking? I mean, you're most of the way through it.
Yeah.
How does it hit you?
It's wild. It's just, it's the same thing we do normally, but it's like 700,000 people here. So that's probably the only difference.
How are those 5:05 wake-up calls treating you?
Oh, those aren't great at all. Yeah. Buses leave out at 6 a.m. Got to get up at 4:35. Yeah, those aren't fun at all. I'm not a huge morning person, so that's been a big adjustment for sure.
When you guys get through complaining about all the troubles in your life, can we talk some football now?
I want to know how the rookie in the Super Bowl week is doing, man.
Okay, well, that's
and
great.
I think that's legit.
And he's been here now long enough this week that he's over that. I saw Peter King on the street last night. I'm going to ask you about that because you have been embedded with the Broncos. Peter and I talking on the street. He was the pool reporter one day.
Right.
Went in and saw practice. He said, I've never seen a more relaxed team that's having more fun than the Broncos. He said, I'm going to give them a very good chance to win this game. And Peter's on NBC. He's Monday morning quarterback, been with SI forever. And he said, they really have a chance to win this game because they're approaching it in the right way. And he said, I liked what I saw when I was doing practice. Can't write about it, can't talk about it. But he said, the game plan is right. They have the right attitude. What are you guys seeing that would lead you to believe that Peter King's right or wrong?
Yeah, I think he's right on point. Just talking to a lot of the guys, whether it's right or not, they're really accepting that underdog. C.J. Anderson said today that they feel like there's no pressure. Feel like there's no pressure on this team. Feels like it doesn't, like everybody's picking against them. So what do they have to lose? You know, they're playing with house money going in, and they're having that mentality, right or wrong, that you know, if we lose, everybody expected it. You know, so they're coming in loose. You know, and I think that's how they'll play.
It will be a 3-point game in the fourth quarter, and then it will be up to the defense either stop Cam or not.
So the attitude, the looseness, the having fun
that don't
doesn't
mean
really matter.
jack. You want me to say the next word? It doesn't matter, man.
Right.
It's how you play the game. This. We're loose. We're underdogs. Either you tackle Cam or you don't. The loose stuff is a bunch of Peter King BS. Is what that is. You want me to talk football?
Yeah.
Peter King is telling you a bunch of crap.
BS. Okay. Well, and I would add somewhat in the middle of that I also don't believe that the Broncos are thinking deep inside, well, if we lose, it's okay because nobody expected us to win. I'd hate to think that I go through life saying, it doesn't matter that I'm not any good. My father didn't expect me to be any good anyway.
The pressure in a big game is the same for everybody because it's such a big prize that you react how you personally react. If you say, I'm going to go out there and have fun, that's an individual thing. It's not a team thing. I do think you're right, though, that the personality of the Broncos defense is we don't care who you are, Cam.
Right.
We're going to be us.
Right. It's interesting. I think things can snowball, though. The way Carolina comes into and their personality and they jump on teams early and they play off their emotion. If the Broncos come up and score a touchdown early or score 2 touchdowns early, I think their personality, they could go in the shell. Mm-hmm. And they're a young team, feel off emotion. They're like, oh, this is not supposed to go this way. I could see that being an effect, and that's where their looseness may come in, and they'll be able to play for there.
You're around this team. Give us a different perspective. You've been around this team all year long. John Elway said this week, I'm going to give Peyton Manning time to think about whether he's going to come back, which was an odd statement to me because the Broncos don't want him back really much. Is there something that could happen in this game? Give me something, you guys, that could happen in this game that would persuade Peyton Manning to come back another year. Good, bad, or indifferent?
I think the only way is Broncos maybe go out there and their defense lays a huge egg and Peyton plays phenomenal, throws for 400 yards, some reason, 4 touchdowns, and they lose 45-42 based on a defensive mistake, which all unlikely that is, where they lose because the defense didn't show up and Peyton did everything he could, and he feels like, okay, me coming back healthy, I'm going to be fully healed, I can come back and get me a ring.
I was standing right there when John Elway said more than once Peyton can have all the time he wants because he needs the time, and it's a life-changing decision. And that was another sign to me because we know that they have to get on with free agency. They know they have a salary cap issue to deal with. John Elway knows Peyton's not coming back. And so it was the magnanimous, easy thing to say, hey, take all the time you want because I know that you're done.
Hey, thanks for being with us. Enjoy are you actually being able to enjoy aspects of this?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the city. So
well,
it's been cool.
He's done 46. I've done 41. You can look back on this one from the distance after you've done 25 or 30 and say, oh, I remember what my first one was like.
Right.
And the Broncos got blown out 58-12 or something like that.
Yeah.
Cameron, thank you. Kaufman's Big and Tall Men's Shop on South Broadway. This is a shirt from there. Went over and got some shirts the other day and was just really pleased with what I was getting in terms of quality. And I've been shopping there since the early 70s. If you're a big or tall guy, even if you're not, leather jackets, suits, shirts, jeans, this is the place to go. If you find it hard to be fitted anywhere else, they will take care of you. I'm talking to Richard out there. He's been in the business for more than 30 years. I met him more than 30 years ago. They really like working with you and serving you. Kaufman, Big and Tall Men's Shop. If you like this shirt, you get one just like it. If you don't like it, there are about 1,000 other shirts you could choose from. This segment brought to you by Citywide Banks, Colorado On, locally focused. They are working in the community to help businesses, big and small. They're also working with more than 150 charitable organizations. You want to do business with people that are your neighbors, that are working to help the community, working to help you in your business. It's where I do my banking, and the Sports Show does. We invite you to go to Citywide with 12 locations in Denver and Boulder. You'll like dealing with Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
I'm Woody Paige. This is Mark Kiszla. This is the Sports Show. We are coming to you live from, as opposed to dead, I guess, from the Moscone Convention Center.
I prefer live.
You'll go with that, and we've had a lot of great guests during the course of the week. It gets even better as the week goes on. We're going to make an exception and not have one of our great guests. I'm kidding.
Wait a second. I wasn't sure whether this was Dan or the star of the Hunger Games.
Yeah, well, that could possibly be. Why don't you, just so we can be like we are back home, look at this shirt, by the way.
Sweater, a nice look.
Yeah. As we are back, who are you and why did you sit down in our chair?
This is Dan Boniface with DenverPost.com, and I'm here to tell you guys what's trending now.
And so you're right on it. We're in this convention center. What is trending right now on the Denver Post?
Well, the big news of the day has been Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg made a big appearance at the media availabilities this morning.
Yeah, I saw Snoop. I got a picture of Snoop in my phone, man. So, yes, this happened.
So Snoop was there. He was asking questions to the Broncos. He was asking questions to the Panthers. He managed to finagle himself a 50% discount at Papa John's.
That was his first question to Peyton. Hey, when I get to Denver, can you give me a 50% discount on Papa John's?
Hell, his dudes go online.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Does Snoop have a future in journalism?
He was on the program that I'm on ESPN, Around the Horn, and I said about halfway through the show, I said, what are you doing here? Why don't you go back where you belong? And he got up and walked off the set. So
what? You offended Snoop?
I got so much grief about that, but he has he's been big in the fashion world. He has been big in the sports world, so it doesn't surprise me that he's big in journalism too. So,
who's been your highlight that you've seen out here, like celebrity-wise or personality-wise?
Take it.
I'll tell you mine. I ran into Ken Griffey Jr. yesterday, and being a Seattle guy who grew up watching him, that was a treat for me.
You?
I thought, okay, this is not original.
Oh.
It's not unusual. It's not from the world of entertainment. J.J. Watt was here earlier today, and he was doing his shtick with Papa John. And J.J. Watt is a natural entertainer. And I was like, you know what? There's a good face of the NFL right there, because he enjoys he's great at what he does. He loves what he does, and he's very, very personal.
Well, I'm so accustomed to seeing athletes that after a while, I mean, Tony Dorsett just walked by.
I saw it.
And, I've talked to so many different former football players here, but yesterday we had on the show a guy who's been in all the Transformer movies, Josh Buchmel.
Easy for you to say.
He's married to Fergie.
Oh, yeah, Josh Duhamel.
I'm sorry? How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Duhamel or
Dumel.
Yeah.
Dumel. Really nice guy. He is starring in a movie about Bill Spaceman Lee. And I said, but I can tell you're right-handed. And Lee is left-handed. They filmed everything with him throwing right-handed, and they're reversing it all. And he said he was having a great. I'm interested in guys that are in a different world and are kind of in awe when they're here to be in the middle of all the sports world. So.
Interesting. Next trending topic I got for you. Troy Rank had a great story today on T.J. Ward and just kind of his personal backstory. You look at those safeties that the Broncos have and how important they are to the success. Do you think that the Broncos can win if they don't have T.J. Ward and Darian Stewart?
The practice Peter King went to and reported on, Gary Kubiak came out after practice and said, I expect both of those safeties to play in the game. So will they both be 100%? Probably not, but will they both be effective? I expect them to be.
It was just I can't comprehend how the Broncos can win this game if they're not close to 100%. And Ward just kind of pulled up lame in the last game, and they really struggled with one of them out of the lineup. So I'm holding off. I don't know if we're going to get a more updated kind of report on them, but I don't think that is such a cohesive unit. They need everybody. They need, to quote the all hands on deck kind of statement, to win the game, I think.
Yeah. Last thing I got for you guys, best exits in sports. Obviously, we don't know for sure whether or not this is going to be Peyton's last game, but if it is, and he wins, where do you think that ranks among best exits in sports?
I thought John Elway's was at the top of the list, not just because he was in Denver, but Derek Jeter, but he didn't win a World Series, but he had a nice exit his final year, and he's got a RBI in his last game or something. I don't know if one that's this would be in the kind of like his ranking of quarterbacks. It would be in the top 5. I mean, you think about Pete Sampras won his last Wimbledon, but that doesn't have the effect of a Super Bowl. I would guess that there have been soccer players that scored the winning goal in a World Cup or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you, Landon Donovan, his exit was pretty good. He announced his retirement last year, ended up becoming the Major League Soccer career leader in goals. Then he became the Major League Soccer career leader in assists, and then he won the MLS Cup on his home stadium. So I'd say that was a pretty good one.
Ted Williams hitting a home run and rounding the bases, and never played another game and never tipped his cap.
Man.
Wow. Hey, are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been fun out here.
First Super Bowl for you two?
First Super Bowl, yeah.
Is it what you expected from the media standpoint and the players' standpoints and practices and all the stuff going on?
Yeah, I mean, more media than I even could have imagined out here. I mean, I think I heard there was something like 5,500 credentialed media members. So,
well, with new forms of media and new people coming into it, it is. Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Let's talk about Hacienda Restaurant, a class above. I think Hacienda is the best Mexican restaurant, and there are thousands of them in Colorado, but it's my favorite place to go. It was my mother's favorite place to go. We loved getting that queso. We loved the shrimp dish. My mom loved getting the tacos and the enchiladas there. And they've got great ice cream desserts. It is a classy place. It is great. The one on Colorado to go hang out at the bar, the one that's out on south on I-25, the locations. If you haven't tried Hacienda, it's a place for you. It's a place for your family. It's a place for great Mexican food. Hacienda, it's my favorite Mexican food. Make it yours. That was brought to you by Hacienda, and let's do 4 on the floor. But first, let me do this correctly. I'm going to talk to you about Siltahar Motors and Siltahar Lincoln. Their small SUV, the 2016 MKC, has both room for your stuff and great gas mileage. So you're talking about holding a lot of people, holding a lot of stuff, and still getting great gas mileage. I was out there the other day. I was in one, and I'll tell you, it's a great look. I mean, Lincoln has always been about quality class. The new 2016 MKX crossover has amazing styling and cutting-edge technology. They're all available at Siltahar Lincoln in Broomfield, right off the Boulder Turnpike, where you'll find friendly people who can really help you out from your first car to your dream car. 4 on the floor.
First question, do you trust McManus and Colquitt in the Broncos kicking game?
No.
Okay. Well, that's reassuring.
And McManus still scares me. I know he made a 50-yarder against the New England Patriots.
McManus and Colquitt were both good against the Patriots, were they not?
Aren't you scared of all punters and kickers?
No.
Oh, okay.
Again, maybe that's because I'm a soccer fan. I like people that kick the ball.
Well, when I mean scared, I mean consistency. How do they perform on the big stage? I think Colquitt, the weather will be nice. It's going to be in the 60s, I heard. I think that the weather, wind will not be a factor. I think that it's on grass. I think they'll both perform well. But do I totally trust them? No, I like them both, but do I totally trust them? Colquitt can shank it every once in a while. The word you use for McManus occasionally. They can duck hook it. They can shank it. I would hope it wouldn't come down to that. I would guess that it very well could come down to that.
I do trust them. Next question. Will Vernon Davis catch a pass?
I think so. What do you think? I think he's going to be a little bit more. I keep waiting for this, but I think that they could sneak him in. They tried to sneak him in early in the last game. I think that he'll actually be used as a tight end in 2 and 3 tight end situations, and we're still waiting for that seam route that he is so good with. I think he's been in a Super Bowl. This game's not too big for him. He better do something, or he's going to be hard-pressed to get a job next year.
I can see the scenario in which he catches a 30-yard seam pass that does make a difference in a scoring drive. So, yes, he will catch a pass. The betting line is holding steady at 5.5 points. Would it stay there, or are you seeing it go into a full touchdown?
I thought it was going to – some places has it as 6. I thought it was going to go to 6.5, so it would really make people confused, because that's what they're trying to confuse people to go both ways, because they're still trying to get more money in on the Denver side in Las Vegas, where I'm talking about, and in England where they have legal betting. And I'm surprised because they still have a greater amount being bet on Carolina, but I just thought that they would push it up a little bit more to get people, but I think Vegas is scared that it is going to be less than 6 points. And so
I think the wise guy money will come in late on the Broncos if it's in the 5.5 to 6 range.
Yeah,
so I don't think it will ever get to 7.
Yeah.
Best matchup in this game?
Well, I was thinking Von Miller against Remmers until what we're talking about. I think I want to see. Okay, I'm going to answer this wrong.
You're going to answer it wrong?
The matchup I want to see is Demaryius Thomas. Is he going to actually play? And Norman. Is this going to be sort of like the Giants and the Panthers, or is it just going to be a big, big dud because they're going to use Demaryius Thomas as a decoy?
The best matchup to me is 26-year-old Cam Newton, the new face of the NFL, versus How old is he now? Is Wade 68 or 69 years old? Wade Phillips. The old defensive coordinator. Can Wade Phillips come up with a scheme to mess with Cam Newton's mind and give the Broncos defense a real edge?
That was 4 on the Floor, brought to you by Citywide Bank. And now we're going to get to Pick 6, if you'd like to do that. And while you're picking out the Pick 6, let me tell everybody about New York Daily News on Hamden. And what's interesting, I'm going to do a combined kind of commercial here. New York Daily News and Citywide. Well, what do they have to do with each other? I go to New York Daily News all the time for sandwiches, the corned beef sandwich, the pastrami sandwich. I go there for the potato salad, the coleslaw. I go there for breakfast. They have, since I was here, I've had one breakfast. I ordered corned beef hash. It was awful. I am so used to comparing all corned beef hash to what I get at New York Daily News. What does I get to do with Citywide Bank? I go past Citywide Bank. I go to Citywide Bank because it's right there. They're both right off I-25 on Hamden. So I'm there all the time. That's how I can combine it. Combine your life. Go to Citywide Banks. Open an account. Deal with great people. Go to New York Daily News. Deal with great people. Great food. Great banking. Great food. They have nothing to do with each other except if you're out there, you can go to your bank and you can go to your restaurant and you'll think that you're in heaven in both those places. Pick 6.
Pick 6. Today's topic is the most entertaining, interesting things you've heard in media sessions or in interview sessions this week. I will be happy to start. Aqib Talib told me today that deals have wheels and those deals are gone. He was talking about I asked him where I could get a chain like he wears, get the gold necklace that he's got. And he said that his jeweler is in town now. I said, well, can you give me a deal? He says, no. During Super Bowl week, you got to pay full price. J.J. Watt was just over there earlier today, number 5, making a Papa's John's pizza. And John was telling him what to do. And J.J. said, hey, John, I'm a defensive player. Talk slower because I'm not very good at remembering stuff. I loved opening night, media night, that John Elway told me that he and Gary Kubiak bonded as roommates watching the Andrew Griffith show. I could see that vision, and I like that. Joe Ellis, the team president, I said, how are you going to be on Super Bowl Sunday? He says, any way you cut it, any way you chalk it up, as a fan, it's 3.5 hours of unmitigated misery. And that is the way it is for a fan, that it's such sweet agony to be a fan. Number 2, more serious, Antonio Smith sat down with me yesterday and he told me all about losing his father and finding out during Super Bowl week. And then he told me his father had been in jail for the last 24 years. But despite all that, his father was his role model in dealing with adversity and growing as a person. And number 1 was today. I sat across from your friend Wade Phillips, and I said, hey, Wade, I've known you for a long time, and you come off as this down-home country, easygoing guy. I said, I don't know if I've gotten you mad, I know, Wade, but you've never screamed at me. So how does this team know when you're upset with them? And he jumped up out of his chair during a press conference, and he got in my face, and he started screaming at me and giving me instructions on how to tackle a running back. And I was like, well, Wade, you do know how to scream.
I can't top any of that, and I'll just do one because of 2 reasons. I can't top that. Those are all great. Secondly, I have not gone to one player's interview. I didn't go to media day. I have done that 40-something times. I don't need to do that anymore. Right. I would just tell you a quick story. I had a column today about John Ralston.
Yes.
We had 2 kind of what we call weepers. I mean, Antonio Smith and his father's relationship, and John Ralston, who is suffering from Alzheimer's. And I had an hour conversation with his significant other since 1999. And she was telling me that he was a very embittered man for a long time. And he said a couple of things that weren't in the column. That one of the Phipps brothers, she doesn't know which one, after they fired John Ralston, the next year they called him and said they'd made a mistake. And he said that meant a lot to him, that they admitted they made a mistake of firing him from both jobs, basically. And the other thing is, she said all the years he wouldn't have any Bronco stuff. There's a horse above the fireplace, but it's not a Bronco. And it said that they went back to Denver to visit John's son, and they took a tour of the new stadium. He wanted to see the new stadium. And they're walking through the new stadium as two tourists, and someone said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm John Ralston." "Oh, I grew up watching it." And she said at least that made him feel like
he was still relevant.
Yeah. So if you get a chance, read those pieces on denverpost.com. You can watch the interviews we have. We will continue in about a half hour, and we've got some big surprises for you, so stay tuned to DPTV, and we'll have another hour and a half, 2 hours of interviews with the rich and the famous and interesting players. And we hope you've enjoyed the show. You can see it on denverpost.com. You can go to woodypage.com. You can go to our Facebook page, The Sports Show. You can go to YouTube and see a lot of the segments here. There are clips on all the stories, and we hope you've at least enjoyed being with us. This is The Sports Show for Mark Kiszla. I'm Woody Paige. We want to thank our entire staff, and we'll see you again very soon in the next half hour or so. Welcome back to the Sports Show. I'm Woody Paige. This is the Denver Post, and this is a supreme pleasure for me to have Curtis Martin join me. He did more damage to the Denver Broncos with the New England Patriots and with the New York Jets. You had incredible career. I'm going to read off the top of my mind, but I think 2004 you had one of the special years in the history of running back.
It was like my best year.
Yeah.
And,
you led the
I won the
if I
rushing
remember
title
correctly.
that year.
Yeah, I was going to say, you led the league in rushing in 2004. I remember that.
It was my 10th year playing. Yeah, that was in my 10th year.
And you had a distinguished career, and you're here. Are you enjoying it from the observer standpoint, or is it a lot better if you would actually be playing in the game this week?
No, I'm glad to be out of the game. Yeah, I'm glad to be out of the game. I feel like the game was, for me, a vehicle to be in the position that I'm in now. Football wasn't the thing that I wanted to do growing up. I wasn't even a really big fan of football. It was just something I had the ability to do.
That's really unusual for a player to admit. Or I once talked to Dikembe Mutombo. He was in Denver for years and years.
Right.
And I said, "Did you dream of being a basketball player?" He said, "I grew up in Africa. I couldn't dream beyond the road in front of me."
Yeah,
and he said, "No, I dreamed of actually being able to help people."
Right.
And he said, and Dikembe does a lot of work through his career in the NBA to help people in his native land in Africa. And based on what you're telling me, which I really appreciate, is if football for every player was not the end, but a means to an end. Does that sound right?
Totally, for me. I grew up in a horrible neighborhood. I grew up where there was a very drug-infested, very violent neighborhood. We had the highest murder rate in the country at one time, and I have several friends and family that have been murdered. My grandmother, who was like my mother, we found her with a knife in her chest and a broken neck, murdered. A guy robbed her for $140. So for me, football was a way out of that environment. And I think what you see throughout my career was not necessarily a love for the game, but a desire to not have to return where I came from.
And so what are you working with now? And you're here at the Super Bowl, and we were about to get into that before we got back on the air, but talk to us about what you're doing.
Well, now I'm involved. I either own part of or own businesses, and one of the main businesses that I'm working on right now is something called BNA, Brain Network Activation. And what we're doing, in my opinion, is a game changer because, I played and I've had several concussions. And the way they're diagnosed is you're asked a series of questions, you're asked to remember some things, you're asked to follow someone's finger back and forth, but that's the only way to diagnose a concussion today. The technology that we have doesn't necessarily measure your symptoms, it actually measures the concussion itself. So we actually measure the injury. We can see the actual injury and understand when you've recuperated and when it's safe to go back to play.
Is it sometimes, pardon my stupidity, medical equipment? Is it a machine?
It's
is
technology.
it a series of
you wear a net on your head, and it's able to pick up the way your brain is functioning.
Would it be possible, Curtis, that there could be this technology on the sidelines?
Yes.
Is that an objective that you have, that in college and high school, that you could actually have this technology and find out right away and start the treatment or make sure that players are not going back into the game?
Yes, that's the eventual goal. As of now, because of the technology, it can be done at the stadium, but it can't be done outside on the sideline.
So if there are initial tests on the sideline, and as we see when a player has a broken leg, they'll take him back for x-rays and see whether or not he's able to return. So
in the same way, we could take him back and see if he has a concussion.
That sounds incredible. Because
it really is. And I think it's a real game changer. And what I do think is that it will actually protect the players against themselves, because I was the type of guy who wouldn't come out the game regardless. I mean, there's been times where I hit the back of my head so hard that my nose busted open. And I still wouldn't go out the game, and I was as dizzy as I could be. But, today with all the rule changes and protocols that they have in place and, with technologies that are developing such as this, such as B&A, hopefully the NFL will become an even safer game.
You mentioned earlier about the number of concussions. I've talked to players. I'll mention one. Bill Romanowski was in the league, and he said, in looking back and talking to doctors and going now, because all the NFL players who got involved in lawsuits or were being tested, he said he might have had as many as 100 concussions during his high school, college career. You talked about it, and we're just hearing about a guy that I was good friends with for years and years, Kenny Stabler, who just died recently. There's evidence of CTE there that we're finding out more and more, and the more that you and your company can do, I think, would at least address some of those issues.
Yeah, and that's the goal. I mean, for me, the only reason I got involved because I thought that it can make a difference, and I feel very confident that it will make a difference in not just professional sports, but all sports.
Yeah. Turning our attention, there's all sorts of others. Steve Young over there, Jerry Rice, I saw a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
You. Are you enjoying the week? Are you able to enjoy this?
Yeah, I enjoy it, but there's a part of it that's work for me,
like me.
And so, but I enjoy it. Anytime I get to interact with the fans and things like that, I enjoy that.
From your viewpoint, there's a lot of people who are saying, and nobody knows, but people are saying Carolina's going to blow out the Broncos, or the Broncos have such a good defense, they're going to shut down Cam Newton. Your observation on what you think may happen?
And I know you're a Denver guy, but I think the Panthers will win. I think that they're going to win. The one thing that, I really appreciate what Peyton Manning has done with his career. I appreciate the type of guy he is. He is probably one of the classiest, most professional guys that I've been around, and it was an honor to play with the guy, against the guy.
You were part of that Brady Manning, competitive issues. They played 17 games, and you were parts of those.
And I think Manning is one of the best to ever do it by far, and I definitely think he's probably one of the smartest to ever. Like as far as football IQ. I don't know too many guys, if anyone, who's smarter than him.
But that's not going to make a difference based on what you're saying.
No, it makes a difference. And the way the NFL is, I mean, the competition is so there's so much parity in the NFL that, any given day, you see, like, I didn't think that the Broncos would beat the Patriots, and they won. You just never know what's going to happen from day to day in the NFL. That's what makes it such a good game.
Here's what I hope for, even though I'm from Denver. I just would like a game like the New England Denver game.
Yeah.
If it comes down to that, whoever wins.
Yeah.
I mean, and there will be, I think there will be 2 or 3 plays that will decide it. And that could be a Cam Newton flipping into the end zone as he did earlier in the year. Curtis, my pleasure.
Hey,
well, thank you. And
thanks for
good luck with that. And is there a website people can go to and learn more about it?
You can go to mybna.com. BNA. Yeah, mybna.com.
Yep. Good luck with that.
Thank you, sir.
If I can do anything with ESPN to help you over the years with it, let me know.
Thanks a lot, buddy. All right.
Curtis Martin, one of the great running backs and now doing great work in the community. We're going to talk to you during the course of the next couple of hours to a lot of different people. Let me tell you about New York Daily News. That's what's on the blackboard. New York Daily News on Hamden, off I-25, just east of I-25 on Hamden. Used to be a Big Boy restaurant. Well, it's been a delicatessen for years, but it's well beyond a delicatessen. It's a place to gather. You can get catering. If your event is coming up and you want special caterers, New York Daily News is your place to go. You're having a business meeting, you're having a conference, you're having a convention, you're having a bar mitzvah, you're having a wedding. You want a caterer that will be experienced. It's going to give you a number of choices. New York Daily News. Go and see my friends Alan, Tori, Belsky. Go to their website, New York Daily News. It is typical of a New York delicatessen. If you've ever been there, I tend to compare it to places like the Carnegie Deli, but it's way beyond that. It's a great restaurant. It's a great place for breakfast, great place for lunch and sandwiches, and everything from prime rib specials on the weekend to all sorts of specials during the course of the week. New York Daily News on Hampton off I-25. I think it's important to remember that that there's so much talk. Okay. I'm going to now take you to an interview I did earlier that I think you're going to find amazingly interesting. It was with Eugene Robinson, who won a Super Bowl, or Mark Purdy can come by. Eugene Robinson won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers 31. Then he lost one with the Atlanta Falcons to the Denver Broncos in number 33. He is now an analyst on the Carolina Panthers radio network, and he's going to talk to us about why the Panthers are going to beat the Broncos. Welcome back to the Sports Show, and we're very pleased and proud, as my mom would say, to have Eugene Robinson with us. And here's a guy that played 16, 17 years in the
16
league.
years, Coach. Oh, my goodness.
And experienced both sides of it. Lost a Super Bowl to the Broncos, won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers.
Yes,
I think you had close to 60 interceptions in your career.
In my total career, I have 62 if you put my playoff with my my regular season.
Well,
but yeah,
I do that because I think they should count.
See, I think they should count too. I'm with you, Woody. I think they should absolutely count because look, it's hard. Now in preseason they shouldn't count, but in regular season and pro season they should count.
Yeah.
Put me up. I got 62 of them, not really 57.
If Peyton Manning wins this game on Sunday, that will be 200 exactly. I'm going to give you a piece of information. That would be 200 exactly. Brett Favre has combined. Brett Favre has 199. So they're tied in regular season at 186 and tied with 199.
Wow.
So Peyton could be the highest number of victories.
He's incredible too, and we call him. Guys were calling him the sheriff anyway. And on our team, I worked for the Carolina Panthers, and guys were paying him major respect about his ability.
And they've been doing that. I don't want to get into that, but to explain, and one of the great players of all time, a defensive back, and as I said, played in 3 Super Bowls.
Yes, sir.
And you do the Panthers color.
Yes, sir.
And this will be, you just told me, that the second time you will be actually
broadcasting
the game.
Yeah, and it's fun. I get the chance to diagnose plays, and I get the chance to kind of live vicariously through them. When I'm calling a game, I put on maybe 3 or 4 hats. I put on my coach's hat. I could become an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I do that. And then I put on my football player's hat and say, what would I do with this play when I see trap, counter, power, all that stuff. And then the other thing I do, I become a fan. I respond almost kind of like what John Madden would respond. I see a play that kind of resonates when Cam Newton did that little flip in the end zone. I was like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe it. What? Did you see that? I became a fan. I was like this. I was a fan of the game, not a football player. I was transported into what everybody paid money to see, which is becoming a fan.
I was having dinner last night with one of the executives of the now Los Angeles Rams, and we were talking about announcing and announcers, and I said, I grew up listening to, quote, homers. I like that. But I like a homer who's also willing to say something that might be truthful but negative about the team.
Absolutely.
I'm happy that you will celebrate a touchdown with Cam Newton, but I hope you'll also be willing to say, the quarterbacks aren't,
yeah. Oh, like here it is. When Cam dropped back and he threw a ball that he shouldn't throw, I said, dude, look, that's an ill-advised throw. He knew and met it when the ball left his hand, like, oh, my goodness, and he couldn't get that back. But then I throw this in there. I remember what it was like to be a football player where John Elway would look me off and come back to the other side where you go, you're just a step short, where you realize that you made kind of like the wrong decision. That's kind of the landscape of football. What happens is analysts, when we finish playing a football game, playing in our years in the league, we get smarter and smarter and smarter, and we forget that we made mistakes. We forget that we didn't tackle a guy. We forget that we got run over, all that stuff. I try to keep that element in the game so that I realize that it's not the easiest game to play. That's why the people pay money for it, because to get down in that football field to do it and to do it well, you got to be extremely well skilled to do it.
I really, and I have heard you. And you and James Lofton, I have great respect for. And I know you have respect for him as
absolutely,
a wide receiver and a Hall of Famer. But you guys continue to study the game that you probably thought when you retired. And I asked James about this a couple of years ago at the Super Bowl. He said, I thought I was old with that. He said, I'm doing more of that now because I'm studying both sides of the ball, special teams. I assume that's the same case for you. You used to study offenses all the time. Well, now you're studying defenses.
I'm studying offense, and it's a little bit easier for me because I'm a defensive player who had his job was to study what Montana does. What does John Elway do? When they like to run it? What West Coast offense? How about you got the run and shoot offense? How about the power game? How about Redskins offense when they would go ahead and they would go and they would do the traps and the counters and the powers? You had to study all that, or the movement from dash to sprint to draw to all the little things that we do on the movement stuff, play action, sprint right action, all that stuff.
I'm gonna play sort of what we do around the horn with you. Just bear with
let's do it.
Carolina Panthers, best offense in the league, played a lousy schedule. Eugene played a lousy schedule. Played a lot of teams in the division, in their own division that weren't any good. Got lost to one of them. The Broncos had 14 games that were within a score of each other. People are saying, "Oh, the Panthers are going to run away with this game." The Panthers have not seen a defense like this. The Panthers played a lot of lousy teams. You give me the Carolina response to me saying that was a lousy schedule the Panthers played.
Okay. First of all, I think it's a fallacy even to think that they had a lousy schedule as if the people in the National Football League can't play football. That's the first thing I would tell you. Secondly, it's almost a slap in the face because when they were 4-0, they were the worst 4-0 team. When they were 7-0, they were the worst 7-0 team. They get ready to play the Dallas Cowboys, and they said, hey, you know what? Carolina is not such a good team that all they need is Romo to come back. And despite that defense, the Dallas had defensive woes, special teams woes. Romo alone can beat the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers beat the Dallas Cowboys like they stole money from them. It was they just crushed them. All right. So when we look at that, if you think, and up to your point, if you think that if we played a lousy schedule, that the Seattle Seahawks, who everybody said, oh, they're making their stride when they were doing really well, getting the playoffs, they're making their stride, they're going to win the game. You wait till they play the Carolina Panthers. Well, the Carolina Panthers beat the Seattle Seahawks, whom I played for. Oh, watch about Green Bay. When we beat Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, he's a beast. He's a beast. Well, yeah. We beat Aaron Rodgers. Wait till you guys play the Cardinals, man. When you play the Cardinals, you had to run up against a defense like that. That defense is a beast. They get after people right there. And Carson Palmer will light that defense up. Your secondary can't handle those three receivers and Floyd and Brown and Fitzgerald. They'll never be able to handle that dude. So when we look at all that stuff, and you see the narrative, the reason why everybody's picking the Carolina Panthers right now to win, because they dismantled the Arizona Cardinals, and no one thought that would ever happen. So to your point, when we look at this Denver defense, they're very, very good. We faced all 3-4 defenses all year with all the different, from the Titans to Green Bay, it was like 5 or 6. The Eagles, 3-4 defenses. Last week was a 3-4 defense, too, and they jumped into a bear front. They jumped into a 4-3 look. They did all these little hybrid combinations. We've seen everything it is. So when Denver gives them that 3-4 front, it's not like they haven't seen it. They've seen it, Woody, all day long. They've seen it all year long. And guess what? Every 3-4 team they played, they beat. So to your response and that, I would say that.
I am glad I got you rolling and turning and everything else, and I'm just too much. I'm going too much. You're in you're here for a specific and a great reason.
Yeah.
Talk to us about Kaplan University and what you're doing.
Well, Kaplan University is partnered with the American Freedom Foundation. They've given over $9 million in scholarship funds to military families and their spouses to continue their education. Let me say this quickly here is that I got a young nephew who's about to go into the military. His sole reason for going in the military is to get an education. That's all he wants to. He wants to do graphic design. Well, Kaplan University and Freedom Foundation, they're making it accessible to go ahead and do that. We always say this: thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. Well, they're putting feet to thank you to your service by putting meat on the bones. That's big for them. If you want more information, you can go to military.kaplan.edu to find out more about it, but they really are helping the military families.
Repeat the website again.
It's military.kaplan.edu. And once again, they're putting feet to that obligatory thing that we always hear: thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. They're providing scholarships for military families and their spouses.
So finally, now you got to run. So Carolina, based on your enthusiasm and everything, it's going to blow out the Broncos.
No. I didn't say they were going to blow out the Broncos. No. Because, look, that dynamic duo they got in Marcus Ware and Von Miller, they ain't no joke. I'm telling you, got to be aware. But I'm telling you this. We've been able to keep Cam Newton upright against 3-4 teams. And when he's been upright, he's been able to look down the football field. And if he's not throwing the ball down the football field to one of the receivers, you better get somebody to get him to stop him from running, because that young man will absolutely run you over. We have not seen the likes of him.
Can I whisper the weakest link of the offense?
Go right ahead.
A guy named Rimmers going up against Von Miller, who might be, according to some surveys, 1 and 2 in the same draft. Von Miller behind Cam Newton.
Okay, since we're doing on the horn right here, all right, I will counter with that, because how you deal with anyone that's a dynamic person or something like that, you go ahead and you put the tight end and the running back to that side, and you chip off to give that quarterback just a little bit extra time.
So that the other guy, the Marcus Ware guy.
Hey, well, Michael Orr, I'm telling you, Michael Orr, but he's been jamming cats up all year long. I'm going with Michael Orr, man. I'm telling you right now. Woody, it's a pleasure, man. Indeed, man. Thank you very much, Wood.
Hey, thanks for coming over. I'm glad I was able to kind of, your energy was low. You were doing all these interviews. That was great. That was a great response.
I'm like this all the time, sir. Thank you very much, Woody, on the real. Thank you very much.
Eugene Robinson.
Thank you.
It's great to have you back on the sports show with Woody Paige, whoever he might be, from parts unknown. But I am excited and pleased to have with me David Hunt, the famed actor, producer, director, jack of many entertainment trades. Forgive me if I go down a bad path here, but I remember you from. I'm sorry. Just. Yeah. Oh, sorry. That's what I was told. But we'll break it there. We'll be back in just a moment.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
Choice pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one, I can work out like one, I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza,
better football.
At thenewpapajohns.com.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
Now we're back. We'll start over again. David Hunt is with us. And what I found interesting when I was in New York for years with ESPN, I'd be involved with charity events, and it seemed to me like your auction house, the company, would would get involved in a lot of charity events. Am I correct about that?
You are absolutely correct. We are honored to be involved with NFL Auction for the 8th year now at the Super Bowl. They do great work. They get the jerseys right from the players, right from the teams, the Super Bowl footballs, the flip coins, everything used, and then we sell it at the auction here with those proceeds going to breast cancer awareness, Salute to Service, and Play 60, things like that. In addition to having a lot of other great vintage things there, like Tony Dorsett's personal collection, Gail Sayers. Being the 50th anniversary this year, we really wanted to do it big.
That's good. And I mentioned, and I may be totally off, but I'm staying in Hilton, which is the media hotel, and they had a table set up there that's part of the NFL experience. And I saw a Joe Namath jersey from the New York Jets, and I would think that would be one of, given the 50 years, that if you could give us, for people who are out here, who are watching, and the people back there, is there a way for people to bid online for these items?
There is. That's one nice thing we do is we've got a program through huntauctions.com or NFLauction.com where they can bid interactively. So there's 1,000 items plus in this auction on Friday and Saturday, but if you can't be there, you just need to register online. We'll get you set up, and you can beat your kid's soccer game. You want to bid on a football, you can do that.
No. Tell me some of the unique items that you have available here.
Lots of great stuff. I mean, from the current players, you've got jerseys, game-worn jerseys from Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, all the great players of the era right now, Clay Matthews, on and on, J.J. Watt. And then from the vintage pieces, we've got some incredible people. Johnny Unitas' game-worn football helmet. Tony Dorsett's things that are going to benefit his charity, including his Rookie of the Year
he walked by a little
trophy.
earlier, and I said hello because he finished his career with the Denver Broncos.
That's right. And also, obviously, the great Gail Sayers. I mean, one of the most just incredible, iconic players in NFL history. Such a short career, but it's so amazing if you look at the statistics he acquired. Sure. And his proceeds will be going to the Gail Sayers Foundation.
6 touchdowns in one game. I still marvel at whenever I see the films of that. And such a great, classy man. This may be an unfair question, but of all how many items would you guess there are that all auction through the NFL that you're working with now?
In this particular auction, there's almost 1,000 total items. A lot of stuff.
Your personal favorite?
Oh boy,
I know they're like children.
Oh boy,
but you had to have looked at something and said, "Boy, that's something I'd like to keep."
I'll say this: being one of the best things about what we do is getting to work with these former players and get to hear the stories. I mean, to be able to sit there with Gail Sayers and Tony Dorsett, to have Tony's Rookie of the Year trophy, one of the greatest rookie seasons ever in the history of the National Football League, and to have Gail Sayers things, including his Whizzer White Award, which honored him not only as a football player on the field, but off the field. So if I had to pick two, I won't split between the two of them. To have those, to be entrusted with those, to find worthy causes and worthy homes for them, it's an honor. It really is.
Your company's out of Philadelphia.
It is, yes.
And as I said, you work with charities, though, throughout the country and with the NFL experience. And how do you go about, I mean, do you just approach players and say, we'd like to have this? I mean, you're working with the NFL, and I'm sure the NFL opens doors for you, but how difficult is it that guys want to give up maybe a personal jersey or a Rookie of the Year trophy that it might have?
It is. I mean, I think the thing that we're most proud of, we've done it for 24 years. We worked with Major League Baseball for many years, Louisville Slugger, the NFL. The first thing we tell players is, what don't you want to sell? You should keep those things for your family. And they may not be necessarily valuable, but what are the things that are sentimentally important to you? Keep those. And then what you do want to sell, let's do it in the right way. Let's make sure they're authenticated. Let's make sure they're properly represented, and then do some good with it as well. And you can really accomplish all the goals if you do it the right way. It's a lot of fun.
And you made a great point. They are authentic because there's a lot of stuff out there. And I'll tell you, I must tell you a quick story. Sure. I was going to Hawaii for a charity golf event, and Tiger Woods it turned out to win his last event. It was at Torrey Pines in California, in a playoff, and I got to know him over the years. And he said, what are you doing? I was asking about his knee injury at the time, and he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm heading off to Hawaii playing charity event. He said, would you like something? And they had given him all the flags from the 18 holes. And he said, let me sign one of those. And so he signed it, and he gave it to me. And I went over there, and I presented it to it's a burn victim hospital for kids.
Nice.
And it's based out of San Francisco, actually, the Shriners Hospital. And so a guy bought it, and I was happy for them. They sold it for a lot of money. And he wrote to me and he said, there's no authenticity to this. I said, well, Tiger signed it for me because I'm not in the business.
Right.
And I said, all right, I'd get a letter for you. And I did that. But
it's a valid point. I mean, look, unfortunately, when things bring a lot of money, there's problems that work into that industry. And again, we're very, very proud of the associations we've made over all those years. And especially with the current things, coming right from the NFL, if Peyton Manning wore that jersey, they authenticate it as such on the field and bring it to us so fans that are bidding on it can feel 100% confident it is what it is.
And once again, if they're here, it's at the NFL Experience.
Right.
If they're not here, there's a way they can go online to your website. Tell them again.
If you're down here, come see us. If you're not in San Francisco, go to huntauctions.com or NFLauction.com. Lots of great things, even if you just want to see them, if you want to bid on them.
Yeah. Hey, good luck with that. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.
Let me talk to you about, and we'll remind you again what the website is later. Let me talk to you about Elway's Steakhouse in Cherry Creek. Great steaks. The bone-in ribeye is fantastic to go to Elway's and have an incredible steak. I love the chopped salad there, the Elway salad, the Asian salad, the side dishes, the baked potatoes, all of that from a great steakhouse. In the tradition of Don Shula's, my friend Tim, one of the co-owners, went to every major steakhouse in the country. He took the best from each one, and he's created a unique atmosphere at John Elway's Steakhouse in Cherry Creek and also downtown, and now at DIA. Elway's Steakhouse. Citywide Banks on Hamden, just east, of is one of the locations just east of I-25 on Hamden. It's one of 12 locations in Denver and Boulder. If you really want to have a locally based, Colorado-focused company and bank dealing with you, and you have your accounts there, you can work with the personal bankers, you can have your small businesses, your large businesses taken care of with Citywide Banks. We bank there, we believe in them, you'll believe in them too. That's Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
I've learned, the things that he can teach you as a player and as a person are, invaluable because you can do. He's such a great person. He teaches. He's helped me on the field, off the field. Issues like things like that. Through the suspension, all that. So yeah, he's an invaluable player.
For him was 11 seasons to get this point. Have you talked about that with you guys?
We haven't really talked about any of that. We just, as a team as a whole, we just want to win a Super Bowl, and that's all we're really worried about.
What would be the key to do that, to win the Super Bowl?
We just got to play our best football. That's all. I mean, it's simple. We see ball, get ball, score some touchdowns, and we'll be fine.
Peyton Manning is like another guy in the team, or is different in the locker room? How he is normally with his behavior with you guys?
He is like one of the guys. He doesn't treat anybody any different. He treats everybody the same, and there's a lot to be said about that.
What did this team learn from the last experience here against the Seahawks?
I think we learned that you have to stay focused on football, and you can't get caught up in all the other stuff. I can't hear you. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, that's all you can. I mean, what else? It's all technique to me. The weight thing is just I don't really need that extra weight. You're going to give up weight to offensive linemen. They're going to be bigger, and that's every defensive lineman in the league is going to give up some pounds. So I think it's all technique. I don't think it's difficult. I think it's just, you should be. This is the NFL. If you can't rush the passer and play the run, then I think everybody at one point could rush the passer. I think people get labeled as either a run stopper or a pass rusher, and they kind of just focus on that. But, I think I like to consider myself a guy that can do both.
Joe, welcome back. We're in the Moscone Convention Center preparing for the Super Bowl, and this is a proud moment for me, having been with ESPN for 15 years now and the Denver Post for almost 40. Guys that I watched when I was a younger man. Yeah, Michael, put the headphone on. Because I am so old, I will be 70 this year. You guys are not that old. But I don't think people, Curly Culp, Michael Haynes, two of the greats of all time. I don't know that people realize in Denver, you were drafted by the Denver Broncos.
Yes, I was.
There were two guys that were drafted by the, Michael, you probably don't even know this. There were two guys drafted by the Denver Broncos that had some of the best careers in the history of the NFL. Dick Butkus, who went to the Chicago Bears. Curly Culp, who didn't actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think you wanted to play in Denver. They made a deal, actually, after they drafted you, and you ended up having one of the most incredible careers with the Kansas City Chiefs. Would you straighten me out on exactly what happened there?
Yes, that's partially correct. I was their number one drafter. They didn't have a first-round draft, so I was the first guy picked in the second round. And Lou Saban was the coach there. And in college at Arizona State University, I played extensively defensive line. But when I got to the pros, they thought because of my height, and I guess because of some of my quickness, that I would be suitable for offensive guard as opposed to defensive tackle, a position that I played, all those years in high school and college. And then, I was just to a point where I went in and talked with Lou Saban. I told him my interest about playing defensive line, and he said, well, he wasn't going to give me that opportunity. So, ended up in Kansas City, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So you battled the Broncos every year.
Yeah.
And I remember Michael battling the Denver Broncos. It's amazing that they didn't play in the same division, but Patriots and the Broncos always end up playing, it seems like.
Yeah, they seem like it. I'll never forget I think my first game against the Broncos, Craig Morton was the quarterback, and we came out and they did a number on us, and we said, okay, guys, come on, they're not that good. Come on, we're going at halftime. Come out of the game at halftime, and it was snow all over the field. I couldn't even believe it. And then I thought, okay, well, we've got a chance now because they're not going to be able to throw. And he kept throwing, and they killed us. I'll never forget that game. They killed us that day.
Well, I don't want to bring up anything, Curly, but I remember that game, and I was told by the Broncos players that the players on the field kind of got together and said, let's stay in bounds because there was a snowstorm. And both of you played in some snowstorms, both in New England and Kansas City, cold and rain there in Denver. Those old AFC cities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was something. The battles that went on, as I said, two of the greatest of all time. And I want to take a moment before we get into the Super Bowl and your observations about it, but I've always been told, and I've had friends with prostate cancer, and please straighten me out on this because I'm stupid, I'm from the South, that all men will get prostate cancer, or a majority of men. It's just a matter of at what point they'll get it in their life or at the end of their lives. And we talk about and recognize breast cancer in women, but there's not much discussion about prostate cancer in men. It's kind of kept, it's a personal kind of thing. Do we need more awareness about prostate cancer?
Absolutely, we need more awareness. And you're right about it's in your system right now, but your body is tolerating it. It's not out of whack. It's not aggressive. It's your body is dealing with it. But you need to know your family history, because if there's a family history of it, there's a strong likelihood that it's gonna get out of whack. There's a 1 in 3 chance it's not gonna be good. It's gonna happen. So you're absolutely right. There's a lot of false information out there and bad information. If you're African American, it's 1 in 5 chance that you're gonna get it. For all men, it's 1 in 7. But when it comes to comparing it to breast cancer, there's 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. Every man seems to know a lot more about breast cancer than he does prostate cancer. Most men don't even know where the prostate is or what it does.
Yeah, and so the PSA testing, if I'm right about the testing, because I've gone through it, that it's something that should be done regular as women get mammograms.
Right.
Men should get the PSA testing to see if you have prostate cancer, because once again with cancer, my mom died of cancer, my sister died of cancer, everybody's touched by it. Either their fathers, uncles, cousins, wives, in my case, my mom and my sister. That early detection
is the key. It's the key. It's curable if you catch it early. It's 100% treatable. If you wait till you have symptoms, oftentimes that's too late. And so that's really what our campaign is all about. If you know it runs in your family, then you'll be looking for it earlier. If it doesn't run in your family, you can wait till you're in your 50s before you start looking for it. But you're right, it's a simple blood test, a PSA test, and a digital rectal exam, and it doesn't take very long to monitor that. A doctor can do that. Every year when you go in for a physical, they're looking at your blood and monitoring your PSA, and they're looking for a spike. If it goes like from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, doesn't necessarily mean you have cancer, but they need to do another test. And the only way you're going to tell is a biopsy. That's the only test you can take to know if you have prostate cancer.
Well, Curly, I have to say, though, I told the doctor who was giving me a test like that once, and I think he was wearing a ring, a lot like you're wearing. And I said, "You're not going to stick that finger in me, are you?" That is an incredible. Would you show everybody?
That's Pro Football Hall of Fame ring.
Yeah.
Now that's the new one. This is the old one.
Quite a difference, isn't it?
Oh, wow. That is something. I was on the Hall of Fame selection committee for 15 years, and I was there when you were put in. And I don't think people players even, realize how difficult it is to get into the Hall of Fame. Would you both agree with me that when the numbers are like 5 a year,
right,
we would sit there and there'd be 15 guys each year that I'd say, I want to put them in the Hall of Fame. Do you think that the honor is greater because it's so exclusive, or do you feel, this is a terrible question, forgive me, or do you feel bad that guys who deserve to be in there aren't in there? I guess there's an answer to both, that you appreciate how exclusive it is, but there are a lot of guys that are left out that really belong in there.
I think it's valid to say both of those statements are true. You know, for those of us who are there, we're very pleased and honored to be there. And there's a lot of individuals during my time playing that probably should be in the Hall of Fame, but it's the process. And in order to get in the Hall of Fame, you have to sustain the votes. If you don't get the votes, you don't get in the Hall of Fame. So I think that's part of it.
I walked in, Michael. I was writing a story. Floyd Little, good friend of mine. I'm sure you guys have known him. Hall of Famer, finally, who deserved to be in. The day he was inducted, and I'm writing a story about him that night. And I'm in the back of the Hall of Fame where the media goes to write. And I have to go to the bathroom. And I go down the hallway and I make a wrong turn. And I am in the dark Hall of Fame where all the busts are. And I thought, I could pick one of these up and maybe John Elway or something and kind of take it home for a while or something.
Unlikely.
And so I talked to Joe Horrigan. You both know him. And I talked to him during the week and I said, man, there wasn't any security around. I was in there. And he said, trust me, if you touched one of them. So you're supposed to know that they're not somebody like me, an idiot, is going to be able to walk in there and walk away with it. But I think people also are confused about the fact that if people will say, oh, the guy's going in this year, or Peyton Manning, which team will he represent? You represent the NFL.
Right.
You represent, unlike in baseball, you go in because you are great. It's really about you and not about forgive me, but it's representing the other players from the teams that guys played for.
Yeah, it used to be years of service. So if you played 10 years on one team and 4 on one, you would go in with the team that you played the most years on. I'm the only player in the Hall of Fame that has an equal time on 2 different teams.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up.
So
if they had said to you, you have to choose.
Well, then I would have chosen the Raiders because of the Super Bowl, And And it was really hard. I'm glad it wasn't up to me in that situation because the players I played with at New England, I loved all those guys. They were like brothers, just like the guys I played with in Los Angeles with the Raiders. So I was actually very lucky, I think. But Marcus, I think, is the first player that said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go in there. I played 10 years as a Raider, played 4 years as a Chief. I don't want to go in as a Raider. He was the first guy, I believe, to challenge it. And it has changed since then. Now we also have guys that played on several teams. Like Jerry Rice played on how many teams? Dion played on, Ronnie Lott. All these guys are playing so many teams that it's kind of turned into what you're exactly saying. It's the NFL.
Yeah. Do you guys have some allegiance? You both played in the AFC.
Yeah.
Do you have allegiances to the Denver Broncos, or is there still that hatred from Raiders Broncos, Chiefs Broncos, or are you looking at this game objectively and say, let them play it and figure it out?
Well, I'm looking at the game objectively. I do have a slight tie-in with Denver, like you said earlier. I was drafted by them coming out of college, and I know Wade and the Phillips family and the things they've been doing defensively and the things they've done defensively. The number one defense in the league. But the Panthers are a very unique team and a super quarterback, and I'm just looking for a great game, basically.
But you both know, and I'm going to now make yours a two-parter. You guys were one of those, both of you, who would say defenses win championships.
Absolutely.
I still say it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we got a unique situation here. We got like the number one defense
Right.
against the number two defense.
Right.
So
Yeah.
That's
is
interesting.
defense going to rule the day where at least it's going to be a very low-scoring game?
Oh, I don't think it's going to be low scoring.
No, I don't either. But I think defense is going to play a major part in who wins, the game. I mean, it's been like that for years in the big games. Defense is what
Do you
it's all
expect a
about.
close game, though?
I don't.
Oh, so you...
Well, you know what? It depends on the philosophy of the coaching staff, what kind of plays they're going to run and all that. But if they're true to history, if the Panthers come out and play like they normally been playing, you figure that they're going to put some points on the board. Denver comes out, they're very conservative, I think, for the most part offensively. Defense, they've been playing well, so it's going to be a great game.
The million people that will be watching us during the course of the week watching you would wonder, because they both saw both of your careers and they said incredible Hall of Famers. What are you doing with yourself these days, Curly?
Well, I'm retired, and I do a lot of things. For instance, the thing I'm doing now with prostate health, I do some things with various charities in the community, and I'm on the board with American Lung Association there in Texas. And so I just try to, kind of give back to the community. Recently, I did a thing for Boots for Troops. So I just kind of move around and go where I think I can serve best for the community.
Michael?
I'm a consultant for a lot of companies. After my bout with prostate cancer, I kind of focused my life in the health and wellness area. So I consult with a lot of companies that are focused on trying to find remedies for things like CTE, recovering faster, and things like that. I love it. It's a lot of fun, but my passion is really in educating men about the importance of early detection of prostate cancer. I get very fortunate to be part of a group of folks with the American Urological Association that is loaded with 18,000 experts and with a lot of places to go for help and resources and advice. And I love connecting the dots, helping men and women really understand the disease better and helping them connect the dots.
It was a joy for me to spend time with both of you.
Well, thank you.
I hope you enjoy the rest of Super Bowl weekend. And it's great to be able to see guys that, as someone on that side of the table where we were picking players and how difficult that is. And I don't think players would say to me, you're a bunch of old fat guys that don't know what you're talking about. We've done pretty good over the years of selecting players of your quality.
We appreciate your support.
Thank you guys both for coming and being with us. I'm sorry you didn't get to go into makeup because he thought we were going to be on radio with all these lights and cameras. You guys are great.
Thanks for
the time. And you might want to listen to, as you're going out, my commercial now is for Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic.
All right.
And it's and one of the things that's important that they do is they do PSA testing there.
Oh, good.
And so if you're concerned about your health, if you're concerned about your sexual health, and both of you would know this, that a lot of guys are concerned about their sexual activity, and that is the result in most cases of other issues like cancer or heart disease, diabetes, strokes. So it's important that you get to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and they're one of the places that can test you for the eventual possibility of prostate cancer. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, go to their website, RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com, and give me a website that people can go to that are concerned about their prostate health, and they will learn more information and how often they should be checked.
KnowYourStats.org. KnowYourStats.org.
Thanks for bringing that up.
All right.
Thank you guys again.
All right.
Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
Players' Choice Pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one, I can work out like one, I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice Pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Better football.
At the new PapaJohns.com.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
For our Players' Choice Pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one, I can work out like one, I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice Pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Better football.
At the new PapaJohns.com.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
Back on the sports show as presented by the Denver Post, DPTV. I'm Woody Paige, and I am thrilled to be joined. There were a couple of old-timers that are in the Hall of Fame. Here's a guy that belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
College Football Hall of Fame. Colorado Sports Hall of Fame is inducted you. The University of Colorado Hall of Fame has inducted you. Mm-hmm. And he will forever be known as, I think, the greatest quarterback ever played at CU. And in the pros, and I was kidding you the other day about, he's got to add one more aspect to slash. Quarterback, wide receiver, running back, 2-point specialist / ping pong player.
Yeah,
I saw you playing.
Ping pong is one of my
Cordell Stewart.
favorite sports. I love, and thanks, Woody. I appreciate it. I've watched you on ESPN through you guys' debates, and you've had some very candid ways of answering stuff. But
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, very candid.
Well, you've got it. You've had a great broadcasting career too.
Yeah, I've had fun. You know, I've done work at ESPN. I've done stuff with radio in Atlanta. Now I'm working with TuneIn, and it's an app that you can get on your phone and actually. From anywhere in the country and world.
Tell us about before we get into the stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me, because I saw it the other day. I actually have the app and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, right. And it's funny. A couple guys said it, and they said now that they know, they'll start using it. But TuneIn is an app that allows you as a fan to follow any one of your teams that you're a part of. Whether if you're a two-team lover or a one-team lover, you can have the opportunity to get this app for free and follow your team 24/7 at any time from anywhere in the world.
And I was kind of kidding because I wanted you to explain it, but I thought, what a great idea.
It's phenomenal.
There are people that live in California, and CU has joined the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And really, if you lived out of, and you grew up in Louisiana.
Yes.
If you lived out of state and wanted to follow your team, it was difficult. I had a friend once who wanted to follow his team. He had to make a long distance call and had the guy put it next to the radio.
And had to pay and everything with the long distance call. And the good thing is with TuneIn is as diverse as my game was when I played the role as Slash in the National Football League, which is even if you're in another state, but just say you're out of the country. You could be in London. And if you know the time slot that your team is playing, you can listen to them. Or even your show, Woody. If somebody loves listening to your show and they're on the road and they want to make sure they keep listening and staying tuned in to what you have going on, they can do it, and it's for free. And my show is called No Huddle. We're on Monday through Friday, 1 to 4 Pacific and 4 to 7 Eastern. And so No Huddle is myself and Brian Weber. We talk everything sports. Even we travel to the Combine. We have coverage with the OTAs, and we also go to owner meetings. So it's free of charge. Get it. Listen to any music, any genre, any sports station, and us, and even you.
Yeah, so all you got to do is I assume the app is free.
Yeah, it is free. It is free. And the premiums are the things that you have to pay for, like games and things like that. But and we're on live, so if you miss us live, you can go to On Demand.
And that's what we
and actually
do.
Listen to us.
The digital world is the new world, and that's what we're doing here. And because this show, forgive me, is on Facebook and iTunes podcast, YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's the idea, is to get more people to be able to watch whatever you want to watch when you want to watch it.
It's similar to Netflix, but we're the Netflix of audio as opposed to actual television.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yep.
Do you think that, I'm looking for the right word, we understand Cam Newton as a quarterback and a pocket passer, a rollout passer, a runner, that you were misunderstood when you came in the league? Is that a fair way of putting it, that people, that they didn't quite know what to do with you? Is that
they didn't know how to categorize it, so to speak.
That's what I'm talking about. Now we know. If
now
you were to come into the league now, they go,
I'll be richer, Woody.
Man.
Woody, I have a whole bunch of ping pong tables too, by the way. It's life is constant. It's constantly moving, and technology is evolving. It's evolving in a rapid pace. And the things I did in Colorado to what I did in the National Football League, which will forever be different, because when I got to Pittsburgh, my slash role entailed me playing wide receiver, quarterback, running back, and punting a few times, which in this day and age, guys won't have to change positions to get the respect from their peers, to get their opportunities to be starting quarterbacks.
That's why I said the word misunderstood.
True.
What are we going to do with them? Because they were so accustomed to pocket quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And now you come in the league and you were a man ahead of your time.
Oh, man, and money included, all that good stuff. And the thing is with the game being the way it is, it's just going to cause radio hosts to television analysts to host of shows on television, to beat writers, to have to up their games. Because if you look at what's taking place in the National Football League as of lately over the last 4 years, Colin Kaepernick, who's with the 49ers, he played in the Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, the last 2 years, he was in the Super Bowl. And now Cam Newton's in the Super Bowl. If you go back further, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Talk about Steve Young even, who was in Tampa Bay.
I was talking to him a few minutes ago.
Yeah, he was ran off out of Tampa, had to go to the USFL, and then he had to sit behind the great Joe Montana, who was coached by the legend in Bill Walsh. And look what happened. The rest is history. He's the most efficient quarterback in the history of the game, and he's a Hall of Famer. So Donovan McNabb, you could throw in there. You could throw in Michael Vick. I mean, we go on. And I think the NFC is the side of the game that actually figured it out. It's the AFC that's kind of spoiled by the Tom Brady's and spoiled by the Peyton Mannings. But if you look at the future of the AFC, the next quarterback in line, Andrew Luck. How does he play the game? Similar to the guys that I mentioned in NFC. He's physical. He runs over you. He can throw the football well, and he's not afraid to have a good time with his teammates when celebrating in the end zone.
And you saw it. People were comparing Cam Newton to John Elway. John Elway even kind of compared.
And even John Elway, yeah.
And when John Elway came in, he was a unique athlete. I always felt like, and he's in a way like you, that he was a great athlete playing quarterback.
Yes, he was.
Dan Marino was a quarterback playing quarterback.
Yes, he was.
I don't know if I'm making sense here, but now we're seeing more and more great athletes who are playing the quarterback position, and the people in the NFL are recognizing that. And I would take it a step further. Before your time, having covered this game for almost a half century, that African-American quarterbacks would come in and they go, oh, you got to play defensive back, you got to play wide receiver.
Yeah.
And it took the NFL a long time to figure out. And now you look at African-American quarterbacks throughout the league. And Cam's brought it up, but people aren't saying, oh, he's Doug Williams was asked when they played against Bucco, how long have you been a black quarterback?
Right, really? Like I just woke up and all of a sudden my skin's a little darker than most.
Yeah, well, I was a white quarterback for 10 years.
Yeah, well, it's amazing, because every position is typecast, okay? You talk about the offensive line, big, sloppy, big old guys. Now they're more athletic. You talk about receivers, athletic guys. DBs, athletic guys. Running backs, kind of the tweener between the big guys and the receivers, so you kind of muscular, and they can also transfer over to playing linebacker if they choose to, because linebackers are really agile and very athletic now too.
And you better be at linebacker now. You can't be the old Dick Butkus types that can stop the run but never
in pass coverage.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the game now, it's now about beating the speed of defensive linemen like a DeMarcus Wares and the Von Millers of the world, because if you just want to depend on the traditional way of being, which was Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, the Dan Marinos, the Dan Fouts, you'll be set behind the eight ball in the sense of, how do I go about drafting my offensive linemen and tight ends and receivers and running backs when my quarterback can't move? But it's fine when everything is perfect, but when things aren't perfect, I think that's when the Cam Newtons come into play, and it makes the job that much easier for the offensive lineman in this day and age, considering the speed of the defensive lineman.
Are you emotionally attached because you were an AFC player, a quarterback, respect for years for Peyton Manning? Are you not discombobulated, but are you having mixed feelings about this game?
Not for no other reason than doing the eye test over the weeks and watching the game being played by both teams. Of course, Colorado in my heart is my second home from Louisiana and New Orleans, where I was raised. I love Peyton Manning, what he's accomplished. John Elway, I remember having a conversation with him before I came out. One thing he's always mentioned to me is that the thing is being able to be you is more important, because he had those issues that you mentioned with people thinking he ran a lot, but he had a strong enough arm to where it compensated a lot of things. And I love John Elway to death because of how he played the game and made life easy for me in a sense. I'll say this. I think both defenses, I think it's a wash, because how well this defense of Carolina play. 1 versus 2. Yeah.
Phil Simms said the other day, you talked about the eye test you brought up. Phil Simms said he said in his mind, when the Carolina Panthers defense gets off the bus, you say, that is a defense.
Oh, 100%, because think about how they play. They have a knack for getting turnovers, and they get points off the turnovers. Well, this defense in Denver is very stingy with allowing points. So to me, collectively on both sides of the teams, when it comes to defenses, they play very well together. And their linebackers for Carolina, I think, is second to none, better than most, and head over here is better than most, because they're both great athletes in Thomas Davis as well as Luke Kuechly. Yeah. So when you look at everything in its totality, I think it's going to boil down to who can make the least amount of mistakes, who can leave which offense on the sideline a little bit longer, and make Peyton Manning have to play from a cold body position, and also Cam Newton. So I think you have new world order in the sense of the quarterback, and you got this old world order in the quarterback. So I think for me, honestly, Woody, this is a hard one, man. And the only thing I could go off is what I know, and that was my style. And Cam Newton, he's so brash to where that relaxed mentality is very scary, I would think, for the opposing team, because you want the bright lights to cause you to be nervous. You want guys to be consumed with, I've never been here before. And I think the energy you see, which is one that's very contagious and infectious when it comes to being loose, it's the Carolina Panthers. I'm not saying Denver's not, But I think Denver's more business-like in this approach, where I think this Carolina team is like, you know what? Ron Rivera told us, just be yourself, be who you are, and just have fun. And I think that's what you see. And I kind of like that a little bit more. And especially the X factor in Cam Newton. He's 6'5", 260-plus pounds. He runs like a horse, and he's dabbing and giving balls away. I like the loose energy. I love it.
One of my favorite players to watch, and as I said, I've been doing this forever. And Cordell Stewart was one of my favorite players to watch, one of the best players I've ever seen. You have to go back and look at it. You guys are trailing in Michigan, the big house, and we had to go, because you remember this part of this, is you had to put on your uniform down the street.
Pretty much.
It was across outside the stadium over there. I have to walk down out of the press box over to the other side of the stadium. And I don't think I've ever told you the story. And you're down, you're out, the game's over. We would leave the press box because we're supposed to come down to be there for the interviews and stuff. Go down. The game's still going on. I walk in, the brick surrounding. There's a chair. The security guard's gotten up out of a chair like this. So I sit down in the end zone just to watch the end of the game. You scored. I went, no, close game. So the defense stops them.
Yep.
I'm sitting in a chair.
Because if they get a first down, game's over.
Yeah. Defense stops him. I'm sitting in a chair in the end zone. You throw it, and I think you're throwing it to me.
Because he was so far.
He was so far, and it's coming toward me. And I get up out of the chair. And I do this. And there was a columnist for the other paper. What are you doing? I said, I'm going to catch this ball. And then I see what happens, and it gets tipped, and it's caught. And it's one of the greatest comebacks and heroic moments in history of college football. And I'm standing like right there. If you go back and look, there's a fold-out in Sports Illustrated of that play.
And you're sitting there.
And you can see me standing in the end zone, looking like I'm praying or something like that.
I tell you what, man, it was a heck of a prayer, too, because that Hail Mary was really a big gift, because that game, the ebb and flow of the game was going back and forth. And statistically, we won the game, but for some reason, they were getting points. And to come to that last play and to get back, man, and see the love and the excitement there in the community of Boulder and Denver as well, and just in the state of Colorado in general.
Sure, and there's 30 for 30.
Yeah, with Coach Mack.
That as a result of all that happened and what you guys were able to do and turn that program around, it was fun. It was a miraculous time, and all that happened.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it was an honor to be in that part of the country. The short time that I had a chance to be in it, man, it's like heaven on earth. You know, I tell everybody all the time, if you never had the opportunity to go back and just see the university, let alone go to Colorado on vacation of some sort, if you're stuck into the flatlands of Louisiana to Miami, you have to see this, because it is the best place on earth.
And he's writing a book.
Truth.
The
title is Truth, Truth, and it's an autobiography about my life, things I've experienced, and what Cam is talking about right now, which is being himself and not changing for anyone. I had to go through some of those changes to get to where I am today. But most importantly, it's looking at it from a glass half full, as opposed to pointing fingers and blaming someone and looking at it half empty. So hopefully it's a book of inspiration. Lee Steinberg, who's my agent, he did my forward.
Yep.
And it's on Amazon right now. You get your pre-orders, and it's coming out at the beginning of March.
I can't wait to read it.
Thank you much, Woody.
I'll buy it if you'll buy mine.
I will. Where do I get yours?
I would give you one if I had my case here, but go on Amazon. Cordell Stewart, the best. He really is the best. Of athletes I've been around, Peyton Manning, John Elway, Cordell Stewart, I put them all right there at the very top.
Thank you, Woody.
Cordell Stewart. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, man.
I'll see you during the course of the weekend. Enjoy the rest of it. Enjoy the rest of it, except Carolina losing the game on Sunday. That's the only thing that's missing. Let me talk to you about Bud's Bar in Sedalia. You probably never made it down to Sedalia, but Bud's Bar, my favorite cheeseburger in town, in the Colorado, in the country. We've had In-N-Out burgers since we've been here. Trust me, can't compare to Bud's Bar. If you are out and about and you're looking for a time where you could look at the mountains, enjoy yourself, have a drink, enjoy a cheeseburger, go to Bud's Bar in Sedalia. Siltahar Motors is the place that I spent a lot of time with last weekend before coming here. I want you to go out there, talking about Bud's Bar, go to the Boulder Turnpike, go to Silhar Ford in Broomfield, look at the Maseratis. You may not, you're like me, you probably can't afford a Maserati. Aston Martin, the 007 collection, the Jaguars, the Lincolns, the Fords. You'll have a great time just out there, maybe test driving, maybe looking. It's like a great car museum of the incredibly great cars that are there. And they'll not only work with you on your first car, but also on your dream car at Silhar Motors in Broomfield. Let's go to a pre-tape that we did earlier, and we can't go to any tapes. Okay, that's good. We're staying here because we're now going to bring in the Wounded Warriors in just a moment after we take a break for Papa John's.
For our Players' Choice Pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one, I can work out like one, I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice Pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza,
better football.
At the new papajohns.com.
I am Citywide Banks.
I am Citywide Banks.
At Citywide Banks,
We put you first by exceeding your service expectations every day.
Every day.
Is a lack of intimacy at home starting to affect your performance on the course? There are many factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol that may be contributing to your erectile dysfunction. Get back in the game with one visit to Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, offering same-day solutions for all erectile dysfunction and premature issues. And you get to try the medications containing FDA ingredients right in their office. Let the providers at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic help you get your confidence back. And be sure to ask about the $99 limited time special. Call today.
We're back on the Sports Show. I'm Woody Paige with you. We're having an incredible time at the Moscone Convention Center. Cordell Stewart's joined us. I was talking to Steve Young earlier, Rich Eisen. We've had an incredible array of athletes, but nobody that I would enjoy talking to more than two Wounded Warriors who've joined us, Jake and Mark. Tell them your last names.
Schick, like the razor, no relation. I got hosed on that deal.
Well, change your last name to Gillette.
I can't. Then I'd be like a traitor.
And Mark, your last name?
Burleson.
And you're here at the Super Bowl. I know I talked to him last year. Is this your first trip to the Super Bowl, Mark?
No, this will actually be my second trip doing this game with the Super Bowl.
Okay, and explain to people, if you would, and me as being a stupid guy because he was here before, exactly what you're here and what you're representing, and it's obviously the Wounded Warriors. And tell us a little bit about the program.
Well, we're here representing two different organizations. The Wounded Warrior amputee football team is obviously the biggest reason why we're out here. We've got our game on Saturday against the NFL alumni team. An amazing organization. It brings all of us together a couple times a year. It's something we don't normally get to do. You know, all of us were removed from the battlefield in such an abrupt fashion. A lot of us left our brothers behind and have never really gotten to deal with being ripped away from our family like that. So this opportunity to get back on the field and just be around our brothers and be around people that are like-minded, that were in that same situation, is something that's very unique. We're also here on behalf of another organization called the Boot Campaign. Jake and
You're wearing the T-shirt.
Yes, sir. We both work as ambassadors. It's an organization that we've both been working with in some form or fashion for the last couple of years. You know, being at the hospital for the amount of time that we were, we saw so many different organizations come through trying to sell themselves on us for what they offered. And this was one organization that really stood out as somebody that was there for the right reason, that believed in their mission, and had no interest in selling us as product, but wanted to help us. And that was something that truly stood out, and that's why I support them.
Would it be true, Jake, also that to be with your brothers, if you will, brothers of the band, if we use what was a series at one point, but that is not only enlightening for you, but really helpful in your own cause to realize that you guys are in this together and you're not alone. I mean, is
Yeah.
that a fair way of putting it?
Absolutely. Listen, we love to come play in these games because it puts on a good show. We get the NFL alumni involved, and like this game, just like last year at the Super Bowl, Snoop Dogg will be there playing with us. But here's the thing: it's we're one team, one fight. That's one of the things we miss more than anything. And Mark and I have talked about it a lot, especially both as being Marines. You miss that camaraderie and that brotherhood, not only when you leave the combat zone, but when you leave the military. And it's awesome because we get to talk to these NFL athletes, and they tell us the same thing. Like, hey, I don't really miss the field so much, but I miss the locker room. And it's the same things with us. I mean, we don't really miss the combat zone so much, but we miss each other, and we miss the barracks and that camaraderie.
Explain to people, in both of the organizations you're talking about, websites, and what they can do to show their allegiance, their support, how they can financially help, or what we can all do to help with events that bring awareness to those organizations like you're doing with the NFL on Saturday.
Absolutely. The best way to get involved with either one of the organizations is directly through their websites. You've got www.bootcampaign.org and the Wounded Warrior Amputee Football Team.com. Both websites are very informative. They've got everything listed out on what they're involved in, when they're going to be going to their next event, or what events they're going to be sponsoring coming up in the future. The Boot Campaign website's got all of the financial information that you would ever want to know about an organization that you feel like supporting right there on the homepage. They've got all of the ambassadors that work with the organization very easily accessed through their webpage. And the biggest thing for them is they sell combat boots. And that's how they make their money, or that's how they make the lion's share of their money anyway, to support the veterans. And it's not necessarily about just selling a boot. It's about offering somebody the opportunity to stand in those combat boots and walk a day in our shoes, and in that way show that you support the troops.
Are you traveling the country, though? I mean, will there be events and people watching from Colorado? And this show is internationally. I mean, are you traveling the country and playing in events like this, or holding
we do
awareness events?
Yeah, I mean, we do events all over the country. I mean, because the thing is it's the more people that know about the issues that we're faced with, and because a lot of people don't understand that, we're warriors and we face veteran issues, but there's also a lot of human issues. And one of the big ideas behind these organizations is let's bridge that military and warrior and civilian divide. Let's bridge that gap and let people know, like, hey, we're a lot just like you. We just happen to get shot at.
Well, but isn't the other aspect that other wounded warriors might not be connecting?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, listen, we lose 22 warriors a day to suicide. They die by their own hand. And that's 22 of our brothers and sisters we lose every day. And the more that we can get them engaged and out of their comfort zone and get them comfortable being uncomfortable, the more they're going to grow. And that's just like anyone else. So the more we get them engaged, the more we pull them out and say, hey, get out of that rabbit hole, come play some football with us, or let's go to this boot campaign event together, the more apt they are to be productive citizens and not let the demon inside their head win.
Yeah, we've done these games all over the country. We've done them in Green Bay, Washington, New York, Tampa, San Antonio, Dallas, San Francisco. And every time we go out to these towns, we bring a core element of team or guys that come out to play every time. But we always go into the local populace, and we try and bring local veterans out to the games to introduce them to the atmosphere and try and get them engaged in some form or fashion.
Fido, change the subject. I assume you're having a great deal of fun. I'd like to get both your opinions, since it's probably worth more than mine. Who's going to win this game on Sunday?
Okay, Mark, go ahead, Mark.
I'm believing in the Broncos right now. I am absolutely believing in that defensive line. I think they are going to give Cam Newton a run for his money, and I think it's going to give Peyton a chance to win the game.
However, we have a small monetary bet going on it. After seeing Carolina play last week, I got to tell you, man, I just don't know that they can be beat. I just don't know. I'd love to see Peyton, I think go out as a champion, but I see Carolina winning.
I want to see you guys a year from now back here, and one of you, I'll say, boy, you were brilliant. The other guy, you were so stupid. Tell them again, Mark, if you would, the websites where they can go and get involved.
Absolutely. The Wounded Warrior Amputee Football Team, I believe it's www.aft.com, and then www.bootcampaign.org.
Thank you guys both.
Thanks, Woody.
It's a pleasure for me to spend time with you.
Appreciate it, brother.
It's an honor.
Likewise.
So we'll do this every year.
Awesome.
I look forward to it.
Thanks, guys. And Mark, next time, don't walk in front of my camera. So I'm the star here.
I'm blind, man. Come on.
That is no excuse.
He sounds like my drill instructor now.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Woody.
Let me talk to you for a moment about Denver Mattress, the official sponsor of the Denver Broncos, the official sponsors of Mark and Jake, the official sponsors of the sports show. If you're looking for a mattress, they're all over town. You can find them at Furniture Row. You can find them everywhere. Denver Mattress, homegrown. Those are good people. I go out to the factory all the time, and because of the charity work that they do with me. That's Denver Mattress. Let me talk to you for a moment about Papa John's 18 special going on right now as we speak this week. You get 2 pizzas, 3 toppings each. You can add some more, I'm sure. Pay a little bit extra, but it's we had Papa John's here earlier that you have the opportunity to go on to the website online today, put in the special online code Broncos18, 2 pizzas, 3 toppings. Go to the new papajohns.com.
For our Players' Choice Pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one. I can work out like one. I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice Pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Better football.
At the new papajohns.com.
The sports show with Woody Paige, and I'm thrilled to be joined. And it's a tough act to follow, some Wounded Warriors, but
big shout out to
as
men
much
that
as
put their lives on the line for us.
As much as I enjoyed you playing for the Houston Texans, and you played for Gary Kubiak, offensive line, went to the Seattle Seahawks, but when you were the amazing great race or whatever, and you participated, I find that how much more difficult was that than playing in the NFL, or was it?
So this is the deal. So one thing that people don't realize and understand about that show, they remove all your resources. So they take away your credit cards, they take away your cell phones,
and you're stuck out there somewhere in the world.
Imagine just dropping somebody in the city of New York with no map and saying get from Harlem down to downtown to Wall Street. So go do it. Just figure it out. And then put you somewhere where you don't speak the language everyone speaks, and then be really hungry and you have $7 in your pocket and you got 2 guys that are both 300 pounds. So what are you going to do? It's they make it tough on you.
Well,
but it's really fun.
Not to give a plug to another show, but you survived.
I did.
You're a survivor.
But it's okay because the same rich guys on that show, so it's all right.
I have interviewed now probably 100 people this week.
Holy
Players,
moly.
coaches.
None of them as well dressed as I am,
actors. You are he is the best dressed person that we've had on the show.
Zoom in on him as he says that.
Yeah,
best dressed on the show. Period. You see my lapel?
Yeah.
lapel.
Sure. He's got
lapel
the pocket square.
flower.
Yeah,
yes.
the great paisley tie, and my staff will tell you, I'm bringing back paisley, so you're helping me.
Paisley looks really good. It pops on camera. It has a level of distinction and refinement, so I'm big about it.
You had a career that lasted over a decade.
Yep.
If I remember correctly.
10 years.
And you were with Gary Kubiak in Houston. One of the players who played with Kubiak told me before he came to Denver, he said, I'd run through a wall for that guy.
Owen Daniels.
No, but it was another tight end that played down there.
Oh, Joel Dreesen.
Yes.
I played with Joel, too.
And he said the night before game, because we're approaching the night before the game.
Yep.
He said the night before the game, he said Gary Kubiak, everything, low-key guy and everybody, he doesn't raise his voice.
Laid back.
He said, but the night before game, when he gets up to speak, he said, nobody drops a handkerchief, nobody turns their head. Would that be a fair assessment of this guy going to the Super Bowl?
It was always really cool, the night before games when Coop would get up to talk, because the way he would address us is I always love the fact that he treated us like men. Like it was really important. It was not, the coach talking to the boys. It was men all in the boat together, all rowing together. I've never been around anyone that stressed just do your job more than anybody. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about anybody else's job. If you do your job as well as you can do your job, the system, the energy, everything else will come together. And he brought a calm about himself where, a lot of guys get jacked up out of their minds. They scream and yell. They go crazy. They run around. And, yes, that does get a lot of people going. But that also burns up a lot of energy. And you need a lot of energy to play the game of football. Sure. So it was really important to him to kind of stay calm and stay within yourself and be able to do it consistently for 60 minutes. And so what Joel said was right on time, very on point, and absolutely held true for what I felt from him during the pregame speeches.
So you went on to Seattle. The difference in the culture, is that a culture shock when you are with one team for a long time and then move to another team with an entirely different coaching staff with a different kind of...
It was crazy. Pete Carroll and his energy and the way he ran around practice, and the first time I saw it, I was like, what is this guy doing? This isn't college. This is a pros behavior. We're grown men. I don't need you running around to motivate me to go block. It's my job. It's my responsibility. I don't need you to do that. But the fact that he did it consistently, day in and day out, that's what really blew me away, because it was genuine. That's who he was. That level of energy, that high octane, and because he was more of a defensive guy as opposed to an offensive guy.
Yeah.
Defensive guys are a
crazy,
little less intelligent, usually meatheads. I see ball, I go get ball. Like, they don't really have to think the way offensive players have to think. So that does make up a little bit of that, the control and the energy, or the level of consistency. A defensive lineman can take first and second down off and go really hard on third down and get a sack, and all they talk about was the sack he got, not the fact that he didn't do anything on first and second down. Or offensively, as an offensive lineman, you play 60 plays or 70 plays in the game. If I play 70 plays in the game, 65 plays, I pick up the defensive lineman and I throw him out of bounds. But the other 5 plays, I gave up a sack. I had a piss-poor, horrible, terrible, tragic game. And I'm like, wait a minute. I threw the guy out of bounds 65. No, it doesn't matter.
But I think when you evaluate yourself, other than whether other people do, we all evaluate ourselves.
Absolutely.
Even though the coaches are evaluating and film studied everything else, that it comes down to how you feel about your performance or your effort, everything. And so,
well, this is the thing. If you do everything that you do, and when I say that, I mean you control everything that you can control. You prepare as well as you can prepare. You get in as good a shape as you can get in. You play as hard as you can play, and you go after it every single play. No matter what the result is, you sleep well at night. The guys that don't do that are the guys that, should have had a 10-year career, end up playing 7, get fat after they're done, or grumpy old son of a guns, and they're just not happy about life because they should have made better decisions while they were playing.
Is the one regret, though, that you weren't here?
I would say that, when you play 10 years, you absolutely want to play in the Super Bowl, and I never got to experience it. I got to go to the playoffs. Yeah. It was one time. It was with the Seattle Seahawks, so I got to experience what it's like to go to a playoff game. But
that was an overachieving team, if I remember correctly.
Very much overachieving, 7-9, eke into the playoffs, but we beat the Saints. Yep. Remember that? Sure. Beast mode's run and the whole deal.
Because people don't want teams. They didn't have a good. That kind of started it. Yeah. We're now seeing these other teams sneak into the playoffs with 8-8 and 7-9 Carolina Panthers.
But see, this is the thing. This was the first year where all of those teams, even though they had the home game, the better team won the game. And I always feel like, because sometimes the AFC is much stronger than the NFC. You play 12 teams that are really good. You caught the worst teams when your quarterback was out of the game. Little things like that. And I always feel like the way that they do it this way, where it's all about the division winners as opposed to just straight. Like, how they change it in the NBA. They change just a straight record. Same thing in the WNBA. They change the straight records. I kind of like that change-up is always there, that there's always a way that a team who may have had a rough start can recover and bounce back and still make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. We talked about your football career and your entertainment reality series career. What are you doing?
Hilarious.
What are you doing with yourself, and what are you doing here?
Other
than being the best dressed person in the room.
That keeps security off me. That's where I'm gonna start. But I do some analysis work for in sports for the NBC affiliate in Houston. So that's a really good deal. Nice little TV gig.
That keeps you in touch with all of this.
Local deal. It keeps me in touch with the guys. I get 30 minutes to an hour twice a week in the locker room, which ends up being like my therapy. Just talking to the guys sometime reminds me that these young strapping gentlemen, I still can't go play, because in the back of my mind every now and again I wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to give it another run. I go in there and talk to those guys and see how good they look, and that goes away pretty quickly.
And you're going to be big in this industry, and you're a guy that's going to replace me on ESPN. I can tell that's coming next.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. One day if the opportunity presents itself and you are ready to give over the reins.
I'll be dead.
No, you're going to be fine and live a long time.
Final question I have to ask everybody. You're looking at this objectively, even though you played for one of the coaches in this game. Who's going to win it?
There's everything in me wants Peyton Manning to go out the way Peyton Manning should go out, but I just don't see how he overcomes everything that Cam Newton brings to the table. I feel like defensively, both teams match up very well, two great defenses, but I think kind of the X factor is going to be the plays that Cam is going to find a way to make sometimes.
I gotta add this though.
Fire away.
Even the Panthers say, "Oh, we're rooting for Peyton Manning. We're rooting for him, but not today." Let's say that he rose back to the level he was in 2012. That he had one game left in him. Where I'm going to tell you something.
And John Elway. He played the way Peyton plays when he's at an elite level during the regular season. You talk about that Peyton Manning?
Yeah.
That's a different conversation. I would go with the Denver Broncos then.
Well, because I bring this up to you, and we'll kind of end the show on this today, that John Elway appeared in 2 more Super Bowls in his career. He was the MVP of his last game. He threw for over 300 yards against not a great team, the Atlanta Falcons.
But I remember.
But he was able to conjure up one more great effort. So I would totally agree with you that everybody. I think
I see what you're saying.
I'm not saying you're saying anything different from anybody, but people are saying, "Oh yeah, I'd like to see Peyton. I'd like to see that." But
John Elway in his last game compared to Peyton Manning in his last game physically, we're still not having the same conversation.
Sure.
John Elway was still built for it tough.
And he had a guy named Terrell Davis.
And he had a guy named Terrell Davis to hand the ball to as often as he could.
Chester, it's a great pleasure to meet you. We don't normally talk during the course of a guy's career to offensive linemen. A lot of offensive linemen don't want to talk to.
You got to show some love. Man. Offensive linemen like to have fun too.
Yeah.
We just like to eat more than everybody else. It's the only difference.
It's been a great time with
Thanks
you.
for having me on. I appreciate it. Great to meet you, man.
Enjoy the rest of the week.
You too, sir.
We're going to go to an interview in just a moment, but let me tell you about our great sponsors. And we will take a break with Papa John's, and I will talk to you about the sponsors, and we've got an interview with Papa John himself. That's coming up. I'll come back to finish up with you in just a moment. Leading up to the Super Bowl, and it's an annual event to start the show to have Papa John himself.
That's pretty good stuff, man. And I saw you teaching Archie Manning and J.J. Watt and Joe Montana how to make pizza today. That was pretty good.
So Archie was standing in for Peyton, obviously,
right,
as he did last year.
Yeah, we've gotten involved as much with the family as we have Peyton, and Archie's a big part of this. I think this is our 3rd or 4th year that we've done it. Of course, Joe, this is our 3rd year with Joe, and the 1st year with JJ. JJ made a pretty good pizza first time. I was blown away.
He has a pretty good pizza throwing arm, J.J. Watt does.
You could just tell he's got good coordination because, Joe and Archie been doing this for several years, so they could make a pizza pretty quickly. Whereas I thought J.J. is going to struggle, so I said, J.J., you watch us make it, and he's back there going, oh, gosh, I'm a defensive guy. I can't do this. And then first pass, he got it.
Yeah, people are late to the party, but I saw you in the crowd at a playoff game a few weeks ago, and I would guess because of your relationship and your friendship with Peyton Manning that you have a specific feeling about who you think and want to win the Super Bowl. How's that?
Well, this is a win-win. We sponsor both teams, the Broncos and the Panthers. And we have two great families involved with the Super Bowl. Jerry Richardson, who owns the Panthers, only guy that's ever played the game,
right,
built an empire, and bought a team. And you talk about a community, giver and builder, and then you got the Manning family. And, of course, I'm partners with Peyton, so I'm going to pull for Peyton. But if Jerry Richardson and the Carolina Panthers win that game, it goes to a good person. It goes to good people.
Okay, you have friends on both sides. I get that. How has the relationship with Peyton and the Manning family affected your heart, your gut, and your head as you've watched him go through this playoff run?
Well, they are a family, and Archie's just such a leader and such a good guy that I think that's why the boys have turned out so good. Cooper, Eli, and Peyton are just world class. But it's really been helpful for me as a grandfather. I've got a grandson and a father of 3 to watch how that family handles themselves, and the discipline, the humbleness, the graciousness. That's been interesting. When we got involved with Peyton, I just liked him. Just like JJ, I just liked him. And so we did a deal, didn't know if he'd ever play again. Remember he just had 4 neck surgeries, and they sent him away from Indianapolis. And I'll be doggone, 4 years have been in the playoffs, 2 Super Bowls. He's been an MVP. And now you talk about a Cinderella story from where he was 5 weeks ago, where he wasn't even playing, to now he's got a shot at making history at Super Bowl 50. It's pretty amazing.
You must, though, from another side, from the fan standpoint, when you're doing the commercials, and I'm sure that there's a hard work day when you're doing them with those 3 guys, but to be surrounded by Peyton Manning and Joe Montana, 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time, from a fan standpoint, you've got to enjoy that.
Yes, and they're both really. Joe's fun to work with. I mean, he's really good, and Peyton, we usually get a first or second take. So you go in and you're working and you do the spot. One day about a year ago, I looked over and looked up and I went, oh my God, it's Joe Montana and Peyton. I mean, just like, is this really happening? So to your point, it's they're on one hand they're just partners. On the other hand, they are legends.
From your observation, and as closely as you do follow the NFL and involved with it, how do you see this game going? I don't have to ask you for a prediction, but what's going to be interesting for you to watch this game?
Well, again, we sponsor both teams, so we win either way, which is nice. Furthermore, both these markets, Charlotte and Denver, we are corporate markets, so we win that way. To be selfish, it'd be nice if it was a close game, and the defenses are so good. I can't, as long as the quarterbacks Cam and Peyton get in a rhythm. They get they get settled in, and we don't have what happened in New York, where the thing got tipsy-turvy right off the bat. I think it'll be a close game, and I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a hard-fought game.
You've built a very successful business. When you see great athletes like you've been associated with over the last several years, do you see how they approach their business relate to what you've done to make yourself and your business successful?
Oh, absolutely. My job as a CEO is to make people's lives better, whether it's my employees, my customers, my communities, my country. My job is to make lives better, and I think that's applicable to whatever you're doing. But Peyton and JJ both have a lot of discipline. They're accountable. They're resilient. They just never give up. They outwork the other folks. They got a great attitude. I think that applies to all occupations. But I tell youth today, I said, bounce around and find out what you're good at and what you like. Like you all like to announce. Peyton's a quarterback. I'm a pizza maker. Cooper Manning, he's a receiver. Doesn't matter. Some of us are architects, some of us are orthodontists, but find out what that gift from God is that you're good at and you enjoy, and then just work it to the bone with the fundamental principles that we just mentioned.
Final question. Thank you for coming by. I know you've been asked this before. I love to go online and build my pizza and watch me be able to construct it and keep piling stuff on. They're all children to you, but when you go in, what do you order?
John's favorite.
I thought that I was setting you up, teeing him up for that.
Pepperoni, sausage, 6 cheese. It's been my favorite ever since the beginning. So.
And that's why I ordered all the time. Love to construct it. Pleasure to see you. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the week. The rest of the week.
It's been great. Thank you.
Woody, Mark, thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is a sports show, and we will continue after we do a Papa John's commercial, as if this wasn't one.
For our Players' Choice Pizzas, we made the NFL players' favorite pizzas. Now you can eat like an NFL player.
If I can eat like a football player, I can talk like one. I can work out like one. I can even dress like one.
Look, you can eat the pizza. You just can't steal my shorts.
Up your game with any large specialty pizza, including Players' Choice Pizzas. Only $12 each.
Better ingredients, better pizza.
Better football.
At the new papajohns.com.
This is the Sports Show with Woody Paige, and we want to thank all our guests today. It's been a great array. We want to thank our staff, Eric and Don and John and Dane and Madison and Nicole and everyone else that has worked with us on the show. Robin, who's helped us during the course of the week. We'll be back tomorrow. You can watch this show in its entirety or clips of it on denverpost.com. Go there. The stories will include the interviews. We want to thank all the guests that we had today. It's been great, from Rich Eisen to Chester Pitts and the Wounded Warriors and everyone else who's been able to join us, Cordell Stewart, all the rest. And we want to especially thank all of our title sponsors who helped make this possible. That'd be Citywide Banks, have been with us forever. Elway's Steakhouse in Cherry Creek. Siltahar Ford in Broomfield. If you just want to look at a incredible Aston Martin or those great Lincoln SUVs. Denver Mattress, the official mattress of the Denver Broncos and of the Sports Show. Papa John's, and we want to thank Papa John for being here. Hacienda, Colorado, Colorado's #1 Mexican food restaurant. Kaufman's Big and 10 Tall Men's Shop, and I'm wearing the shirts from there, and if you like this shirt, go buy one. If not, as I said, there are hundreds of others. Great service there. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, one of our good sponsors. New York Daily News. Bud's Bar in Sedalia, my favorite cheeseburgers in the world. And we thank you for being a part of the show and watching us. You can tweet us at The Sports Show. You go to our Facebook page, The Sports Show. You can also go to see us on YouTube and denverpost.com and woodypage.com. Thank you. We will see you tomorrow from the Super Bowl in San Francisco as we get closer and closer. Have a good night.